right, everybody, welcome to Arsenal Fan Circle, the Sunday show. Pull up a chair, you're all welcome here, and the beer tastes pretty good right now. We are top of the league. We are top of the league, Gary.
Yes. Arsenal are the first
Pretty
name you
good.
see on the table, just like the start of the season, and at least for another week, right? So,
Yeah, at least for another week.
yes.
Exactly. We're going to get into all of that. First of all, a little bit of sad news with Terry Venables passing away at the age of 80. And rest in peace, condolences to his family and all of those who knew him in the football world. He was an adversary. He was a manager of that team. He was manager of the England team, and English fans had some good times under Terry Venables. And, they probably would want Terry Venables back in the chair right now, other than a Gareth Southgate right now, Gary. But there you go.
Yeah.
Uh,
I assume a legend is would they call him a legend?
yeah, he was one of the.
Yeah.
And I found out this morning he was best man to George Graham.
Oh
And
yes. Oh yeah.
George
I did
Graham's
see
wedding.
somebody put that up there. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that as
Goodness.
well. So
Yeah. It's
things.
oh, you're getting old when the legends start disappearing. All right.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, and kids that are just picking up the sport like who, So yeah.
All right.
I want to say
More,
hi to everybody in the chat. I see
yep.
Moss is in the house. We've got Taib, hello, Riddy, and BX in the house as well. And Mr. Tom has joined us. There you
Mr.
go.
Tom has joined us because I'm going to plug his show right after this show. We all love Leeds, right? We'll be playing. So go over and check out Mr. Tom.
Yes.
Moss said all needs saying who's top of the league. We are number one. Yes, NFL Day as well. Right after this,
Yeah.
I'll be
Is
watching
your
the
team
Eagles.
playing?
I'll be watching the Eagles about 4:30, 9:30 UK time. Gary Spud's choke got the correct score. Unai Emery strikes again.
You know what? It's a good and a bad, right? Because we don't want to create a monster. Everybody's happy for Unai Emery, but then we still have to play them twice, yeah.
Mhm.
So I don't want him feeling like he's doing that well, because then when he plays us, he think he might be able to get something on us, and I don't want that. I don't want that for him either. I want him to, want us to go in that game feeling a little bit.
I always Ollie Watkins scored for Aston Villa, and he's doing really well. But I always remember we looked at the salary between Eddie and Nketiah and Ollie Watkins, and they're on approximately the same amount per week. One is probably worth it. One is debatably not worth it at this point.
And people were saying, no, we don't want Ollie Watkins. We want something better, which I get the better part, but he's better than what you have, So
exactly.
Which one is it? Which one is it?
Good evening, Tybe. How are you doing, mate? Hope everybody is doing well. Moss is in the house, as you said, Gary. Nice work, Emiliano and Emery.
Yeah.
Emi Martin is formidable goalkeeper. Reddy's in the house. Evening all, especially to those whose team is top of the league. Let's go. BX Gunner, thanks for that. Let's go. Finally, a good real Arsenal fan.
Yeah, I've been hearing. It's funny. I've been. I got added to a WhatsApp group, and you get to it later. But this the the negative fans are coming out in droves, and they're showing their colors. So people are.
Yeah, we will definitely chat about that.
I'm not too happy about that. So, yeah.
We will definitely get into that, Gary. Gary and Ray, we are here, Moss. We are here. Mr. Tom, ladies and gentlemen, hello. Ray started in time. Happy Sundays indeed.
Hey, you know why? Because what? I got in. He was already in, and then I guess he saw me, and he's like, you know what? We've got a minute or so before the start time. Might as well just go, as opposed to dilly dally, and then bang, we're always late. So, yeah, Ray did a good job. Yeah, good
Thank
job,
you.
Ray.
I hit the button.
You hit the button.
I pressed the start button, Gary.
Yeah.
There we go. That's the stuff. Yeah. Rest in peace, Terry Van.
So what did he say there? Because I didn't read that whole
Okay,
thing.
I was skimming past that. I didn't want to put you in the
I
spotlight,
no
Gary.
no no, no.
Gary, your boy Matt looked questionable yesterday, being peer pressured not to celebrate.
Yeah,
I think he
I
celebrated a little
told
bit more than
I've
the other
told him
guy.
on the show. I'm like, you know what? I look at I go into an Arsenal match, believing we can win because I believe we can win every game,
Yeah,
regardless of how poorly we're playing. So I can't think of all the negative things that could happen, because then I can't enjoy it. I like to enjoy
yeah,
it. You know what I mean? When it's over, it's over. Then you can we're gonna scream at the screen anyways, and so I'd rather go in there feeling good about it. So yeah, that's I, I say just do what you want to do. So
with Millie
do
on
what you want to
defeated.
do. If people don't like you, then that's their problem.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, exactly. Be authentic. That's probably the first thing. I would give advice to someone else. Be yourself. If if people like you, they'll come. If they don't, you still get to
Yeah,
talk.
doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. People aren't going to. Not everybody's gonna like you, and a lot of people don't even know you, and they
Yeah.
don't like you. So you
Look at
shouldn't even
Mr.
care.
Tom. Mr. Tom
When
thinks I don't like him, but I do have a
Hey,
little
we
bit of
like everybody
something
likes
in here
Mr.
for
Tom. I
you.
don't know what he's talking about.
I
He
got a
talks
little bit of
nonsense,
something in
but
here
we
for
like him,
Mr.
right?
Tom, right? A little
Yeah,
bit of something, Gary, for Mr.
yeah.
Tom.
There you
He's
go.
a, he's all right. He's all right.
Yeah, yeah.
It used to be a guaranteed 6 points when Leeds. We want Leeds back in the Premier League. Guaranteed 6 points. Come on.
I didn't say that, but I expect 6 points from everybody. So it doesn't matter if it's Leeds or not. Sorry, I want
Yes,
6 points.
Eagles look the best right now, Moss, but get into the playoffs
You see,
and
yeah,
who
the one
knows?
thing about the one thing that is, yes, Eagles might look good as a team, but they don't have who's the quarterback for KC. Um,
They don't have
um,
Mahomes
they don't
throwing
have a
bombs
Mahomes.
left, right, and
They don't
center.
have a Mahomes who can make something out of nothing. You know what I mean?
But Mahomes needs players to catch balls as
No,
well.
he does, but he can make things happen, and sometimes he gets his team
Yeah,
over the edge. And we've seen it now.
yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah.
Garnacho, Nacho Man,
All right.
maybe goal this
I just
season.
gotta walk my dog down to the steps. I'll be right back.
Yeah, and I will say a correlation between the Eagles and Arsenal. So we'll bring it back to Arsenal, right? Because they they are a good team. Arsenal are a good team, but like the Eagles, they have to finish. They have to finish it off, and Arsenal have to finish it off as well. And we are happy. We're happy with the set of results this weekend. We are happy that we won, but like the Eagles have to finish the season strong and win it. Gary said, there is a team out there called Manchester City that we have to be conscious of, just
Yeah.
like Mahomes, and they can do things to us as well. I do rate Garnacho, Gary. I've liked this kid. He reminds me of Martinelli a little bit.
Yeah, no, you know what? We've seen snippets of him, and it's always been when he's come on off the bench, and when he started, he didn't look so good. But I think they've just decided, you know what? He's talented, so let's let him. It's almost to me like the whole Trossard thing. Comes out one game, doesn't play well, so you sit him. No, is he got the talent? Yes. So then maybe you need to let him figure this thing out a little bit on the pitch. So they let him do that, and you saw. Did you see the shot today? The over the head thing.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they call it scissor kick. I guess, yeah.
Or an overhead kick,
Overhead kick.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Uh,
I mean, he. I don't think anybody expected it, and that's the thing. It's like, oh, that ball's overhit. Whoop! Oh boy,
yeah.
into the
Yeah.
goal it went. The
He
goalkeeper
beat
just was stuck, just like.
England's number one keeper beaten
Yeah.
there. Canterbury Gunner, right? We do not talk about the championship here. Go see Tom at 4 o'clock Eastern, 9 p.m. British time, and you can
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
championship football there. And listen, I do hope Leeds can get back up into the Premier League.
Yeah.
Garnacho is Rooney Ronaldo love child. Stephen OT is here, and we
Welcome.
know you were here last week as well, Stephen. So good, big up on you. Ross is here. Evening all. Hope you're all well. Um, yep, Gary was wearing black and gold too yesterday. Jersey is good. This one, I like this one, Gary.
No,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, I have that one, and I do like it. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I saw
yeah.
the other one that Bukayo Saka was wearing as a throwback to the
I like
'89.
that one. I do
Mm,
like that one too.
nice as
I, you
well,
know,
right?
I'm not a. The reason why red's. I like red, but red is just like there's like a lot of teams that I hate that are red that are not
Yeah,
Arsenal. That's like,
yeah.
oh,
Gary speaking Greek. No, the Eagles, the Philadelphia Eagles.
I'm speaking
Um,
Greek. What does he mean? Non-Arsenal? Is that what he means?
however you want to translate Riddy.
Oh, I don't know how to do that. Nobody knows how to do that.
Florida could not help us all when we need them. Do something, Gators fail and lose to fraud
Yeah,
state.
I was disappointed in that game. You know, it was I at one point I thought, oh man, they might do this, and it was a setup. They've been setting us up all season. Play well and like look like they're gonna win, and then at the end they just basically fall flat on their face. It's
Uh,
yeah.
Tom thinks I should do an NFL show and then do a play-by-play basis.
Oh,
I don't
commentary, yeah,
think
because
so.
people want to hear my commentary.
No, I think it's more or less. I do 90 minutes like we when we reviewed to yesterday's game.
They love
Like
that. People love
minute
that.
one, minute one, minute two equals minute two. No, it's not quite like that, Tom. Lord Greenwood, has he knighted himself or what? You know,
This is the cousin of Sam Greenwood,
I
as
think
I
he should be
have been
the
told.
third. I think he should be Lord Greenwood, the third,
The third,
no,
I
not the
call him
fifth.
Lord Poo Poo Head. So there you go.
Gary, should I even read this?
You can read it. And we've heard it many times.
Gary is a glorious pleb from Barbados who swarmed the Atlantic with sea turtles, trained by the mutant ninja rat Splinter, and started his career as a busboy at the Savoy. I don't know. I don't know what that means, but you
Yeah,
might know.
it's it. You know what? The rich speak, and you just go, yes, sir. And you move on.
Yeah, he's got like a hunk of meat in his hands. He's tearing strips off. Lord Greenwood, King Arthur style. Would
Yeah,
rather watch paint dry. Okay, we have. This is a great thing about the chat, and numerous things going on side by side. Russ likes a Bronco in his helmet. The Premier League is all about Leeds thinking of joining. You know it. True, true. We want some of that. High line, high risk football. Oh wait, Tottenham are doing that. They watch Everton, Man United. Um, the on time I cheer for Gators. The one time I cheer for the Gators. Okay,
yeah,
Gary.
yes, sir.
Lord Greenwood brings glorious fortune, and Russ brings glorious dogging. There we go. Mr. Thomas, all right. This is the price I pay for keeping up with the chat. You know.
Yeah, no, yeah. We're only 13 minutes, and we still got some time, right? So
Yeah, we've got time.
yeah,
Gary, you flying to the Caribbean to watch England next week?
no, I wish I
He
was
has
flying
two
somewhere.
podcasts, but it's not generating that much revenue.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's
Yes.
not that much revenue. It's not generating anything that you would consider revenue for sure. Yeah.
All right, Gary, have we reached the point where we should make our peace with the Arsenal squad? As in, Kai Havertz is going to pop up and score goals for us from time to time, but
That's you know what? Okay, so when we brought in a player, the player Kai Havertz, his currency for us was going to be goals, just like in Kedia. We will evaluate what he does by the goals and assists that he brings to the squad, and we were fearful of the defense. So far, we've been a lot of people have been happy with everything else but the scoring and assists. So yeah, I think, and I've said it before. Yeah, to he doesn't need to start for us yet. He's not there. He's not ready to start for us. We need to get him feeling good about football once again. I don't know. I don't. It kind of sucks that we have to do this. This is like it's not this isn't primary school and stuff like that, right? It's professional football. We don't need to, we shouldn't have to be trying to get a person back happy with football and all that, but we do. We did this.
Mhm,
We brought this on ourselves, so this is
mhm.
what the job entails. So we gotta try to get him back happy with football. I don't even know. He didn't actually look as happy as I thought he would after that header. It looked like they were still trying to pull him out of his shell. You just scored a winner at the death, right?
Yeah,
You should be able to enjoy yourself. If you're not, that's it's then it becomes a job, right? when you see those players out there playing and they're smiling and enjoying what they're doing, and then when you see those other players that just real serious all the time, they're not having
Mhm.
fun. And you know what? When the players not having fun, do you enjoy watching them?
Is he just a different personality, a bit like Pepe that way? I
I
imagine if Pepe scored like that, Gary, he would be. You'd have that momentary, whatever this celebration was, from Kai. Yes, you'd have that momentary celebration, but then
I don't.
quickly,
You know what? I would have to look back. We would have to go look at the tape, right? Back when he was playing in Germany,
yeah.
was he really that kind of uh, an introvert, kind of on the pitch? I'm not sure.
I
Kind of just
mean, Sam might have seen. Sam knows a lot about him, so maybe Sam might have seen a lot of Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz, without really following his career and knowing a whole lot about his career, he did well in Germany, we know, but strikes me as a young player who had the hunger and tenacity to make it in the game, get his big move, and he got a big move to Chelsea, and
yep,
then he got a move to Arsenal.
yep.
And but I wonder, has he sort of told himself he's been there, he's done that, and I want to know if he's got that motivation to drag Arsenal to a title for the first time in
We are
20
not
years.
right now. If you're saying that's part of the things that you expect from him this season, I think we're going to be disappointed. We're not depending on him to get us across the line. I think he's going to help us get. He's going to help us
Yeah,
here and there
with
to help
important
us get
goals.
there.
Yeah,
When he comes in and he does what he did, that's what we're looking for. I think that's why I think we don't need him to start right now. We need him to get comfortable coming off the bench, playing, doing what he needs to get the job done, right? And
yeah,
that should be entailing kind of the assist that he got earlier in the season, right? And now he's got this the assist that he got where he kind of, I don't know if
against
he
City.
headed it right to
The Tomiyasu headed the ball
yeah,
down and he shielded it from the defender, laid
yeah,
it off for Martinelli
yeah,
against Man City.
yeah. That's what we want from him, right?
Yeah,
What we saw yesterday, that's what we want from him.
yep.
If we're not going to get it, if it's one of those things where you put him on for 90, you put him on for 30, and you're only going to get that one moment, then I'd rather put him on for the 30 and get the one moment, late
And
in the
I,
game
I
kind of thing.
I've told you through the summer, the biggest improvement from this Arsenal club would come from Arteta himself and understanding what he can do and what he cannot do.
Yep,
And I think he may be starting to understand with Havertz, he doesn't have to start in that left eight position every game,
yep,
and he can be more important further forward, um, on that back post.
yep,
And
yep,
Kai Havertz interview afterwards, Gary. I mean, it's not like a secret, but he said that they've been working on that with Erdegaard and Saka
yep,
crossing from the right hand side with their left foot, and that we're all visualizing that cross right now.
yep.
We do play it a lot in games as well.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, what do you call a guy with a toe growing out of his knee? Tony. I think Tony would laugh at that. I was pleased when Arsenal scored. I like my friends happy, even if Brady does his best to test that. We all like to poke each other around here. Ray is
Yeah,
a fantastically glorious host, whom I recommend highly, and train my bloodhounds not to want to bite. Anyway,
it's the
um,
Lord Greenwood guy.
I
Yeah, boy.
yeah, I think Kai Havertz interviews. I think Mikel Arteta interviews make more sense sometimes than
Well, yeah,
Sam Greenwood.
I don't know if they should have him doing interviews anymore. I mean, I was just like it's the same because like the college team I follow, when our head coach talks, I'm just like, I keep giving him a chance every time, and every time I come out of it, I'm like, okay, I should have never watched that. It's just like he, I want him to get comfortable on the pitch before he's talking in front of a camera. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's just get some more football in him. I want to get more football out of him. Right? I'm done with the 65 mil. Let's just get the best out of him with what he can give us. And if that's 30 minutes in a game, 15, 20, I don't care. Just make sure it's worth our while.
Um, Cannon Beginner, I'm going to put a star on this comment and we'll come back to this discussion. Letting Jesus go to Brazil was a joke. We need to act like a big club and stop these call ups. I think, unfortunately, the countries and the national setups have access to the players, and it's not
I think yeah, it's
always in our control.
it's probably like the media, right? They have to talk to the media. You just can't cut them off just because you don't want them to. I think it's all about the money.
Yeah, and a little word about the media. It struck me today, Gary. Man United Everton was the primetime game. Everton Man United was the primetime game this weekend. Do you know why? We all know why it was, because of the 10 points deduction. So
Yep.
the media are feeding into this narrative of feeding fans.
And the media did not get what they wanted, right? They didn't. They did not get what they wanted based on the way that game went. I mean, the
No,
first two, what is it? The first 5 minutes or whatever it was, basically, the game was over at that point.
1-0. Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Everton looked like they were going to come back, but the reason why they were towards the bottom of the table is because of what we saw today. Couldn't finish their dinner. They had multiple attempts at it, and it just never panned out. And then
Mm.
the game comes
United
down
were
to
the more efficient. United were the more efficient team in front of goal as well, and took their chances. Lord Greenwood, the third, said, "I know him as Kai L, the glorious super goal scoring machine from Leverkusen."
Yeah, I would have to look at those videos to see what he looked like when he was. I'm assuming how he looked when he was enjoying his football. Because I
Um,
just, yeah,
BX said, "Funny how we play to Kai's strengths and he scores. Go figure."
yeah.
Then look, this could be the plan B, Gary, and this could be Mikel Arteta.
I don't.
Um,
It's not a plan B. It's just how we use our players. You know what I mean? Like you're saying plan B. I'm saying no. This is just part of how we use our players, right?
well, a lot of
And
people would refer to a plan B as sort of going direct and aerial route as well. You know what I mean?
no, yeah, I hear you. I just like I said. I just like it's just like it's just another cog in the wheel of Arsenal, right?
Yeah.
And
But
this is what he does.
I think Mikel Arteta did well bringing him on as well. And Tom, you're probably confusing me with someone else. But so look, you take off Martinelli, and you're starting to know his players. Mikel Arteta is, I think, starting to get the hang of this thing. Knowing his players, take Martinelli off and put Havertz on, who can be a threat on the corner of that far post there. And credit to Brentford. They are a very, very difficult team to break down. And we saw 8, 9, 10 people behind the ball as well, Gary. So we're probably going to face this a lot now away
Yeah,
from home with these types of teams. They're going to
yeah.
go into a low block, be very organized, and defend against us.
Well, I'm going to tell you one thing as well is just take the shot.
Mm.
Don't we take so many extra touches? It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. A lot
Yeah.
of times we're taking this extra touch, and all we're doing is then kicking it right into a defender who wasn't there. If we just took the first touch and put it away, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's I don't know. We're like trying to walk the ball in. It's like no. If they're gonna play a low block, that means you're not gonna get a chance to do what you want in a timely fashion. You just have to do it now. You know what I mean? So just shoot. You get into the box, you just shoot.
Yeah.
We had
Definitely.
better chances with the ones where it was just the one touch, as opposed to the extra touch to do what? To kick it anyways? Why don't you just kick it the first time? So,
Yeah.
like I said,
A lot.
maybe I don't know this football thing, but I feel like we're just waiting for them to just give us the opportunity instead of just taking it when they give it to us.
A lot of over elaboration. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Leeds fan, Mr. Tom said, would have been funny if Mr. Havertz had caught the ball, found the nearest camera, and said, "You wouldn't celebrate anyway, Lee, so what's the point?"
Oh, jeez.
The power of Lee extending to the Leeds Twitter timeline. BX, you need to get your box serviced, okay? The comments is too easy to slam dunk, BX. Oh well. Stefan's enjoying my third comments when it comes to Lord Greenwood. Brentford are extremely well organized in the back. Credit to Thomas Frank, and credit to Thomas Frank's batting away 2 questions over the weekend from the media again. It does seem like managers face pointed questions now, and not all of them answer in the way Thomas Frank did.
Yeah.
Um, I I actually wonder if he is thinking about his further career as well. Thomas Frank as maybe being a possible um, manager of one of these top 4 or 5 teams moving forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because definitely his career path is on the upward trajectory. Um, Next week against Wolves, we will again face a similar low block. We need to break these quickly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
tough, isn't it, Gary?
No, I think it is, but we know what it is. It's not something new, so we should have a. I would like to see something different done. We keep doing the same things and expecting different results.
Well,
Like we
isn't
give.
Kai Havertz coming on? Isn't
No,
that
no. I
something
mean,
different?
if he's not in our starting 11, so our starting 11 needs to be able to break down a low block,
Yeah.
right? And I think waiting for them to just roll over and give us the spot isn't going to work. We have to be a little bit more like there needs to be a lot more movement. You
Kyle.
watch this all the time. We're just standing there
Yep.
expecting the ball to come to us, and that's not how you break down a low block. Every once in a while, somebody's going to have to make a run at the back line, right? You're going to have to make that pass because a couple of times we made that pass, and I think we had a couple of headers, right? But they didn't fall, they didn't come, they didn't work. But you have to keep trying. You don't just give up on it because it didn't work the first time. Because every time you do the same thing, which is just stand there and hit the ball to the open man, and then he passes it back, you're like, this isn't working. So
Yeah.
yeah,
We definitely do need to go back to the drawing board a little bit and see if we can open our attack up a little bit more. Definitely, that's going to be part of the discussion a little bit later. Brownie's here. All right, lads, well done on 3 points yesterday.
yeah,
I have to catch up and watch the Brownies' latest podcast, but go check it out if you're interested, people.
yeah, yeah. Check
Um,
it out.
Careful, Stefan. I have space in the basement with a room. We'll be forced to watch West Brom versus Ipswich. Well, is that a worse fate than being in Tony's basement? I don't know.
Oh,
You know,
yeah. I don't know. Come on. You know what? You don't wish. No, you don't wish it on anyone.
you
Come
want
on.
to be in Tony's basement.
Nobody wants
Uh,
to be in Tony's basement.
why can't all the moderators like on another? Why can't all be moderators like on another Arsenal channel?
No,
Have you met everyone moderators?
I have
Is that
not.
what he means?
No, not
Okay,
me.
he's not making sense again. And
He's
the
not.
most
He's talking
likable,
about somebody else. That's all.
yeah, yeah, it was nice. Ange is sinking down into the mid-table of Premier League.
Well, everybody
Tottenham
said that
team.
that was going to be their Achilles heel, right?
Mhm.
Do they have enough numbers to keep up, right? They have a good starting 11, but like we noticed last season, starting 11 doesn't get you where you want to be. You're not gonna be able to play them every game. So, yeah, yeah.
Sam said Ange has got 3 losses in a row now, crashing down back to normality.
Mm.
They face City as well. I hope they get something out of City because I want to beat City to the league.
Yeah, yeah.
And should have stayed at Celtic, but now I found out the Tottenham hot shits. Nice one.
Mm.
Um, we'll have him, Brownie. Okay, yes, good segue here. I was getting to this one. Ramsdale's performance. Talking about that first half performance, especially Gary. We didn't do a lot going forward. We didn't help Ramsdale to get an advantage of a goal to build on. So Ramsdale's performance, and I didn't have a lot of notes from yesterday, but the 2 notes that I have are Ramsdale's jitteriness in front of the press from Brentford.
Yeah, no, for me, once again, the performances of the goalkeepers right now falls at the hands of one Mikel Arteta. He's created a situation. Hello, Mr. Bungles. He's created a situation where he's not going to get the best out of his goalkeepers because he's created too much drama, too much pressure is being put on them, directly and indirectly. So it's all on Arteta, no matter what. Like for me, it's all on Arteta in terms of how the goalkeepers are playing. That's
I
for me.
I'm
So,
going to take the opposite point of that, Gary. We're going to have
okay.
a healthy discussion about that. You
Yeah.
know, they're both professional footballers, and
You know,
they need to play when they're picked. They need to play, and they need to play without mistakes in their games. And they're making mistakes, and I don't. Arteta's fault is picking the goalkeepers. If there is a fault in this, he's putting a goalkeeper in the 11s that he's putting out on the field, and one of them has to be Ramsdale or Raya. You know, so I don't understand why you think um, it's Arteta's fault that when a goalkeeper is picked to play, that goalkeeper is making a mistake. You know,
he's directly, indirectly, however you want to call it, putting pressure on his goalkeepers. Yeah, it's just you can just see it. They are they don't want to make a mistake, and then they end up making a mistake anyways because they hesitate, they second guess themselves. Um, Raya does more of what Arteta wants to, so he's taking the risk. Ramsdale knows that he can't really take the risks anymore. What he calls risks, as opposed to what Arteta wants him to do.
mm-hmm.
So I kind of feel like that's the Arteta part of the equation here. I don't, and if it's true that he hasn't actually spoken to his goalkeeper Ramsdale, I kind of feel like that doesn't make any sense. I get it. It sounds like that's what some managers do,
There was,
but I
the
kind of
way Arteta came on the field, he's hugging players, and it felt like the hug for Ramsdale was a very quick hug. You know, good job.
you're just proving my point.
Yeah,
And you're
in a way,
saying no, it's okay. That's all right. That's what you're saying because you're
the
saying that
feelings, the feelings
Arteta's
and
okay,
sentiment.
and the goalkeepers are not doing their job.
This is
That's
a
what you're saying.
professional game, though, Gary. There's the feelings and sentiment a manager has for their players. It should not affect the way they can go out and
If
play.
I hate you, if I don't like you, and we get on a show, it's going to be inherent to the people listening to it us that guess what? These two probably don't get along, and you're not
Everyone
going to
can
get the
see that
best,
right
and
now.
you
Yeah.
and you might not get the best of me. That's
I'm,
why. That's what I'm saying. It's we're human beings first, and then they're football players. So we can't one in one breath look at Kai Havertz and go, oh, it's all mental. Just shake it off and just get to it. And then people go, no, you can't do that because look at him. He's not there. He doesn't have the confidence, blah, 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 all these things. And then look at the Ramsdale and Rhea thing and go, oh, no, no, you guys should just shake off whatever that is, whatever Arteta's doing, just shake it off and go and play. No, it's the same. It's the same mental situation that's going on there, just a little bit different. One's about confidence in a player, and the other one is about, I don't even know if, am I his goalkeeper
coaching.
or what, you know?
Do you
Questioning
think?
your
Do you
questioning your
think?
place in the team.
Do you think the instance with Ramsdale is about the confidence that he feels from Arteta, and then maybe on the other side of it, David Raya making a couple of high-profile mistakes at Chelsea, and what was the other one? Newcastle, right?
Yeah.
Two away games in tough places, but do you think the problem with Raya is the coaching that he's been asked to have a starting point off his line too much? You know what I mean?
It's the dynamics that they're in. It's not that they can't do it. We've seen them do well. For me,
Mm-hmm.
it's the entire dynamic of what's going on with the squad. We talk about squad unity and continuity and all of this stuff. I don't think it's the way it needs to be for a goalkeeper, a number one goalkeeper in this situation. They say it in other sports, when you've got two, you've got none. He's created a situation where he's got two goalkeepers fighting for the same spot in the same season. Those type of decisions are done in the off season, in the preseason, before you get started, and then you go with your number one and you move on. They're actually interviewing on the pitch right now, and then
Mm,
they don't know if they're going to start the next one or not in
yeah,
some situations. So for
right.
me, you're creating undue pressure on your players when they have enough pressure as it is just to perform.
I don't know. I think I would bring Stan in as well. We're talking about the goalkeeping situation between Raya and Ramsdale, and we saw what happened yesterday with Ramsdale. I think the situation is the personality of Ramsdale has been exposed now that he had this situation with was it Bern Leno? Bern Leno, who got dislodged from the first team a couple of seasons ago. He came in on the other end of this now. Ramsdale came in to the setup, did some really good things for the fan base and raised the level of expectation within the team. But now he's found it difficult with Raya coming in. Maybe that speaks a little bit to his professional psyche as well. But I will bring Stan in at this point because I'm interested to see what his point of view is as well.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hello, Dan.
How are we?
We are great. We're top of the league, but we were mentioning Kai a little bit earlier, but now we're on to Ramsdale. It was a little bit nervy yesterday. Ramsdale was a bag of nerves, says Reddy. Felt really sorry for him, but this is competitive football.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, one of the attributes that you have to have at this level is mental fortitude. And sometimes the going's going to get tough. Your place may be under question by another player. That means that when you do get an opportunity to play, it's up to you to shine. There's nobody else that can do that for you, just you yourself. So I understand that some people may feel sorry for Aaron Ramsdale, but I just think that, maybe under these conditions, we're learning a little bit more about his mental fortitude or lack of it, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I like the guy, I want all of my players, whether it's the right back, the left back, or the goalkeeper, to be the best at the job, no matter who it is, whether they're English, Spanish, it doesn't really bother me.
Yeah. And as I was saying to Gary, these are professional players and they need to. Arteta may have created this situation, but they need to move forward with the situation. I mean, when Matt Turner was brought in, did Arteta create a situation between Ramsdale and Matt Turner?
There was no question about who the number one goalkeeper was.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, everybody, this is what it looks like when you have competition and it brings the worst out of some of your players. And then you have the other situation where you bring a Trossard in, and everybody said, "Oh, you don't want to bring a Trossard in because he might compete with Martinelli." And now we're looking at that going, it doesn't look what we're getting. We got a response immediately from Martinelli once he was on the sidelines watching Trossard, and that's what you wanted in that type of situation. And that's typical of that situation because that's kind of players coming in and out of the front line is one thing, but goalkeepers, you never see them switching in and out from game to game when somebody loses form. There's no such thing as losing form for most goalkeepers and then sitting them for a bit. Usually you just rotate them in for specific cups and whatnot, but it's not something where your form's off, you're out. You know what I mean?
Have we seen the response from Ramsdale in this game against Brentford and the West Ham game? Gary.
I say it again. Sorry, I got something.
You said Martinelli responded to Trossard being in the side. Do you think Ramsdale has responded to Raya being in the side?
No.
No.
I think I think it's a different situation because none of us believe that when Arteta says he has situations where he wants to switch a goalkeeper in mid-game, nobody believes that's actually what he would ever do. And they've never seen it from any other manager, top managers in the world. So to say, yes, it's not the same. A goalkeeper and any player on the pitch, the way that you rotate them in and out of the lineup, not the same. So I wouldn't. So yeah, you either have one or you have to have one.
It is the same in the sense of you get an opportunity.
You will never. There's no manager out there to go, you know what? It's been 45 minutes. This has been terrible. I'm going to go and pull my goalkeeper. And
no, I'm not going to do it within the game.
Well, exactly. That's why it's not the same. Because if you see, we've seen Arteta pull players at halftime. Because guess what? They're not performing. It's not the same. So the position, the way it works is, and everybody will say it, you have to. That player is your number one. There's no such thing as a 1A, 1B.
It is the same because
it's not the same because
the only reason why David Raya did not play yesterday is because of the loan agreement with Brentford.
You know what you're saying it's the same, and I'm telling you it's not. And you can show me an example where else you've seen a goalkeeper come in at halftime, and it wasn't because of an injury.
No, we're not talking about halftime. We're talking game to game here.
No, but what I'm talking about is how you utilize them, right? Nobody switches from game to game goalkeepers either.
Brighton have been doing that as well.
How do you make a judgment if you're a manager sat on the sidelines and you're watching your team play? It's easy for an outfield player. You can see an outfield player and quickly see that they're not doing the things that you want them to do, or they're not moving in the right way, or they're not tracking back, and you can start to get frustrated with that. And then you've got an option to pull them, whether it's half time after 20 minutes or in 50 minutes, and put another player in. But with a goalkeeper, it's harder to judge that, because if they're not doing anything for 20 minutes, and then let's say, for example, they make the same mistake that Ramsdale makes yesterday and the goal goes in, do you pull him for that mistake, or do you think, oh, it was just the one mistake, he'll make up for it? It's harder to, do you know what I mean? How do you decide in game that the goalkeeper's been terrible?
Yeah,
unless they've had sort of like 4 shots and let 3 of them in within 10 minutes, then you can think, well, something's wrong here. But it's hard to judge it.
Yeah, I don't think you should do that within the game. Like at halftime, you shouldn't take off a goalkeeper unless you.
Arteta told us that last season there were times when he wanted to actually do that, but didn't have the
that's
courage.
A lie, because he would never do that.
So what was the goalkeeper? So I'd like to know.
But he said he thought it.
I'd like to know that what in his eyes did he see that was happening that was so bad with the goalkeeper that he really felt if he had a better goalkeeper on the bench that he would swap him mid-game. That's what
I think. I remember living through last season and maybe talking to Tony more specifically about this, that if Ramsdale was feeling the heat and being pressed too much, he would try to go long to Martinelli. He would try to go long to certain players, kicking the ball. And I can only surmise and try to think that this was not what Arteta wanted him to do last season.
I mean, I get it. I'll get it if you watch 90 minutes, and after the 90 minutes, you think the goalkeeper just wasn't up to it. The next game, I'm going to pick the other guy. But to say that you're going to do it in game, I don't know how you base it. As I say, it's so hard to judge a goalkeeper, right? Because they could be inactive for so long, make a mistake. You're not going to pull a goalkeeper just because he makes one mistake, are you? So I don't understand why Mikel Arteta told us that, because it makes no sense.
There are certain games I would love to go back and watch now, knowing what we know now. Go back and watch Southampton at home. Go back and watch maybe West Ham away. Go back and watch Man City away at the Etihad, where we were dismantled by Kevin De Bruyne and Haaland, and see if there was anything in Ramsdale's game that night that you wouldn't have liked. You know what I mean? In those nights. But
as I said, I think it created a little bit of dysfunction in the team when you bring a player like a goalkeeper in and decide, I'm going to switch things up right at the beginning of the season. I just think it created dysfunction within the squad.
But we did it. We did it with Ramsdale 2 seasons ago.
I never liked it then.
And Bernd Leno, we thought he was an upgrade on Bernd Leno at the time.
I didn't.
I didn't think at any point since we've had Emi Martinez and Leno that we had a serious goalkeeper problem. I didn't think we had a serious problem that we needed to fix immediately, as opposed to, guess what? We don't have a CDM. We don't have a striker. We don't have depth behind every one of our spots on the pitch. You know what I mean? Like, goalkeeper was the least of my problems at that point, because, you're always as good as your back line. We've seen it, right? We've seen Raya play a game where he barely did anything, right? Because the back line was solid, and that's 4 players, right? Yeah. And so the one player behind them really doesn't matter at that point, right? They have to make their timely saves, but we've had bigger problems, I believe, than a goalkeeper since Arteta's been here.
I don't know. I just think we had an opportunity to go get a goalkeeper we wanted 2 seasons ago, and we got it with David Raya this season. And yes, it's upset a couple of eggs in the crate, or upset some people about that with Ramsdale. You know, the ones who feel a certain way about the energy that he brought to Arsenal in the last 2 seasons. I just feel if we have an opportunity to upgrade, we should do it. And this could happen with a Vlahovic, that striker now that's at Juventus that ignored us. We went and got Gabriel Jesus. Would we now go get a Vlahovic and upgrade in that position? It's possible. You know what I mean?
I just don't get how we're so cutthroat on changing our goalkeepers. But for years we played Xhaka out of position and we're okay with it. Even to the point where we're like, let's play him as a left back because we have to have him on the pitch no matter what. But
I
then
think
for a goalkeeper is doing pretty much 90% of what they need to do, we're
but
going to keep changing. But
every year
we have other
you
areas of
gotta,
the pitch where it's worse. You know what I mean?
you got to improve every year, though, Gary. I think that's what we're
We
trying to
keep
do as
improving in
well.
the same spot. We keep improving in the same. What
Well,
about who's
no, we've
playing behind
improved all over
Saka?
the squad. We've
Who's
improved the
playing
whole
behind
squad.
Jesus, right? Who's playing
Eddie,
behind Rice? You
Eddie,
know, we want somebody
Jorginho.
better to play behind Rice. We want
We've
somebody better
improved.
to play behind Erdegaard.
But yeah, we've
We want a
improved on
true left
El
8.
Neni.
You know,
Let's take Rice for instance. We've improved on Mohamed El Neni. Brought in Jorginho. You know, Jorginho is an adequate replacement for Declan Rice. Not brilliant, but adequate, right? Yeah, there's definitely a thing with Eddie and Nketiah where Arteta believes in him to be the deputy for Gabriel Jesus. Yet to be seen. He does remain our top goal scorer for the season.
that's the problem right there. If Eddie Nketiah is leaving our squad in goalkeeping, that's not a good sign.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's not how I would judge like whether we're doing good or not. I don't know. It's
As
not
Ross
like
said,
there's things on the list of like what I would expect us to have on there in terms of who's leading us in scoring, who's leading us in assists, blocks, whatever the case may be. Eddie Nketiah is not on any of those lists based on what we've seen. So when he's leading us in scoring, I know that we're just, I believe we have better players, and it should have 5 goals already by now, right?
Yeah. As Ross said here, we just all have to move on from Ramsdale. We all know he's finished, right? Arsenal, trust the boss. And right at the end of the game, while amongst Arteta hugging Ramsdale very quickly, I did notice Ramsdale talking to the other goalkeeper. And I have a feeling that goalkeeper asked him, "Are you moving? Are you going to move? Are you leaving?" And Ramsdale did say yes. Whatever the question was, Ramsdale said yes. So that was just my feeling. Ramsdale probably is moving.
Maybe he was saying to him, "I wasn't going to, but my dad kind of fucked all that up."
Your dad fucked that up, right? Yes. Let's move on. So yeah, listen, we have to move on. I actually believe this could have been Ramsdale's final game for Arsenal if he moves in January, And are the Euros in the summer, next summer?
Yeah.
Okay, so that would probably expedite Ramsdale moving in January and getting a club. Rice saved us there. What about Declan Rice? Clearance off the line. Amazing. He just keeps doing things. I remember Stan saying he's 105 million, but don't expect too much from him. Don't like over expect. Don't have a higher expectation of what he is, other than. Well, now I'm getting a higher expectation, Stan. He can be a goalkeeper on the line. He stops goals going in, but the anticipation from Ramsdale making that mistake to get back on the line and be able to clear that off the line, it was a big moment for us yesterday.
Yeah, I see so many keepers that to me they just look a little bit shaky with the ball at their feet. Even the ones that can do it at times still look a bit shaky, And it is something that worries me, that we do invite pressure onto yourself sometimes by continually passing it out, to a fullback. The fullback then passes it back to you. Then you pass it to a central defender, to try and get and then run off with the ball. But sometimes it don't work like that. If they're on it, and they close you down. And
yeah,
you saw it again yesterday. Ramsdale was extremely lucky that ball didn't go in the back of the net. Extremely lucky.
Yeah.
And then who knows what the sort of conversation would be like this morning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we just walked away with 1 point.
Yep.
You know, or it changed the complexion of the game so much that for whatever reason we only walked away.
Who knows?
We walked away with no points, and that would be the only goal scored because we did look kind of toothless in our attack. To me, yesterday, I think we've got a very solid foundation in our defence. The goalkeeper situation notwithstanding, because it still seems to be a settling in period for whoever goes in goal at the moment. But we've got a very solid defence, and our midfield is not bad. You know, it's probably working on about 90% of midfield, but the attack to me just looks very disorganized and toothless, feckless.
Yeah. If we don't have Martinelli, and he's been playing well for us without getting the goals and assists, and Saka has still been getting goals and assists. It doesn't look like it. He doesn't look like the player from last season, but the end product is still there from Bukayo Saka. Real quick, we did mention Terry Venables at the start of the podcast. Stefan said, by the way, I know he was an ex-Spurs player, but can I say rest in peace, Terry Venables? Had too much nous for the no marks of the FA, so they made trumped up BS against him. R.I.P. Eltel, indeed. Gary, as Stan said, some goalkeepers look jittery with the ball at their feet, but Brentford knew the situation at Arsenal. Thomas Frank has a very good team playing at home, and their record is very good, and they pressed us really high when Ramsdale had the ball at his feet.
Yeah, I don't think they were pressing when he double clutched that ball he was about to throw.
The throw out.
I don't think there was any pressure on him at that point, so that was just a man who wasn't confident about what he was about to do.
Mm-hmm.
We saw in the earlier game, the 12:30 game, we saw Alisson make a similar mistake, pass the ball to a City player inside the box. It was lucky, the shot did not go in. So, as you say, they all make mistakes, especially when they play from the back, even the ones that we laud and go, look, you need to be like an Alisson or an Edison, those type of goalkeepers and stuff. The chances that you make a mistake go up high because there's not much pitch to work with. And when they close down on you, you have to be perfect. And that's not the skill set. The skill set of a goalkeeper isn't to be able to just maneuver around someone consistently like you see done in the midfield and up top, right? So Arteta's asking them to do something, and they're not at that level. So there's going to be mistakes when you play out the back. And every time we go into a game, I don't know if you say it or think it, but every time we go into the game, I'm like, I don't care about our back line. We're pretty solid there, but we just can't make mistakes. Right? You've looked at most of the games we've played in, we've made some terrible mistakes, and we paid for it pretty much every time because guess what? Those are usually the only time the other team gets a chance because our defense is so solid, right? So if we make a mistake, they are going to go 100% and try to get that thing into the goal because they know it's not going to come again because the defense is solid. So I say, you know what? Minimize your mistakes and you'll be all right.
Yeah. Exactly. From the podcast last week, we had with the two Liverpool fellas, Kevin and Jack. They're part of the chasing pack, and we talked about the strengths in this Arsenal team, and it is at the back that we're probably going to have the best defensive record in the Premier League, and I think that's the way Mikel Arteta has started to regenerate this squad for this season. Reduce the amount of goals we're going to concede. It doesn't feel like it, but we're actually about 3 or 4 goals behind what we did last season, and it feels like we're a lot worse in terms of goals scored. The way we're playing is in a more structured way, more composed way, and we keep possession of the ball. Arsenal fans who want us to be a counter-attacking team, well, we're just not built that way. We're not going to be Unai Emery and Aston Villa and the way we play. Sam said, Raya will be back quicker than a gold digger grabs the Amex card. Shout out to Alex from Cannon Fodder TV. Welcome to the show. The other thing is, I'll go to Stan for this one. I am seeing Zinchenko defending just a little bit better these days, Stan. He's a little bit stronger in the tackle, and he cleared one off the line in the second half for us.
Yeah, I've seen him making more efforts in the defensive part of his game as well. I've still seen him making a few mistakes as well, to be fair. But I can see that the lad is definitely trying to improve the defensive part of his game. Is it good enough yet? I don't know. But yeah, I'm glad to see that he's putting the effort in.
Yeah.
In that area.
Well, I think our best defender, most improved defender from last season is Tomiyasu for me. Tomiyasu is probably one of our best defensive fullbacks, and he played really well again yesterday. Let me catch up a little bit here. Tom, as you know, I don't give away much emotions. Here's a whopper for you guys. Considering the new style we're playing, we do not have the right players. Think about that one.
So, well, are we going to keep changing every season and not have the right players every season?
It's kind of an evolution. It's kind of like we're not the same team we were last year. Is that fair?
No, but the question is, every season when we switch things up, are we always not? We're going to have a player missing here or there. Like for me, and I thought, we based on where we were last season, I don't understand why we couldn't do what we did last season. We just have more squad depth and players get more, we get better in position. So now we can do even more than what we did last season. Like if I told you we can improve on Xhaka, if we can improve on our left wing, which we did, our right wing with Timber, would things look better? Yeah, I think they would, right? If we got a striker, would things look better even if we played the same way? Yeah. We bring in Rice. Do we improve our midfield there? Yes. And we can still play the same way we played last season. And you know what? You might know what's coming. It doesn't matter because we got the better players. That's what we say about City all the time.
Yeah.
We know what they're going to do, but guess what? They have the better players.
I mean, I know that when we look at the way that we play this season compared to last season, it does look a bit different. It doesn't look as sexy as it did last season. But then some of the things that were bad in our game last season have disappeared as well. I mean, the amount of times that we would have to come back from behind and chase games to get control of it seems to be wiped out now. I've not seen that really happening this season. So I'm seeing some of the bad things go, but maybe at the expense of not looking as I said a moment ago, as not looking as sexy as we did last season, because there is a different look to the way that we're playing with basically the same personnel.
Yeah,
the only real change has been bringing in Declan and the omission of Xhaka. Other than that, it's basically the same personnel.
I think if we're to look back to last season, what hurts me the most is those 3 draws in a row, right? And we could have lost at City and still been competitive last season if we didn't draw against Southampton, didn't draw against Liverpool up at Anfield in the last minutes, and didn't draw against West Ham. So there we've scored 7 goals in those 3 games, but we conceded 7 goals as well. If we concede less, we're not going to draw 3-3 to a newly promoted team, whoever the equivalent of Southampton will be. We're not going to draw 2-2 at West Ham, and we're not going to.
Right. So right now, if Saliba is out for 3-game stretch when we need the points, what is our answer?
Bring in Kivior.
It does not make us better than we were last season.
No, if you miss Saliba,
so
injury.
Well, we want somebody closer to Saliba. So the drop off isn't as big, right? You want like a Martinelli to Trossard kind of a drop, if you want to call that a drop. I mean,
if it's Saliba, do you know what it was, Gary? It wasn't just Saliba being injured. It was in the same game, Tomiyasu being injured as well. I think we may have overcome one of those injuries last season, but not the 2 of them, which we
Plus,
had.
if everybody in our defensive ranks is fit, you could almost slot Ben White in there.
Ben White, right side, and Tomiyasu.
options at the fullback, and Tomiyasu himself can even play at central defence if needed as well.
Yeah.
So if everybody's fit, we have options.
So yeah, I think it was the combination of Tomiyasu and Saliba together.
We're down Timber and Partey right now, so we're down 2 potential starters for our squad right now.
But look at the bright side as well. We are top of the league right now, and that player.
Are we talking about? You're talking about where we are in the table, but we're talking about basically things that happened last season that we saw. We're down 2 players in similar positions as we were last season.
Well, Timber is on the road to coming back in the new year.
I'll be surprised he'll be back. I'll be surprised he's back when we. He's not going to be playing at top speed in April. I'll tell you that. If March is when he's supposed to be back, I think we're asking a lot out of the recovery of an ACL from a player.
I only look at it that we've got 1 player out because Partey's never available. So I'm kind of used to that.
No, but he's out though. It's the same problem we had last season.
He's out.
We were out Partey. We were out Saliba.
If we get,
we were out, and Tomiyasu late in that season.
Wouldn't it be nice?
You're saying if we only were missing 1, it would be okay, right?
I'm kind of used to Partey not being available.
But it's still a player that we could depend on if they're healthy, right? We can't talk about if they're healthy, then would be all right.
The word is
players when he's healthy, he starts for us, isn't he?
The word is with Partey is that he's going to be back in the new year, ready for the African Cup of Nations, and hopefully he doesn't get crocked when he comes back to us in February after that. And if we had a fit Thomas Partey for the Champions League knockout stages, I would take that. You know what I mean? And move forward that way.
But even Russ says it. Russ says, look, I don't even think of Partey as part of the first team anymore. That's how desensitized and used to it that we get for me anyway. He's just never available.
There's an interview where Bukayo Saka refers to Thomas Partey as the Ghana guy. You know what I mean? You can't even remember his name.
He's only been available for around 30% of the games that he could have played in for Arsenal since we signed him. That's terrible.
Hopefully he can make 24 appearances. That's 24 is the number I'm looking for. He's the new Jack Bauer to me.
He's no different than Timber, and we know the quality that we're missing from him.
Mm-hmm.
So regardless, so I hear what you're saying, but I just we are missing some talented players, right?
Yeah. And
it is a loss, and it does hold us back. And in those situations where we might need one, I guess that's about the goalkeeper. Yeah, no, I get that. I just we're talking about the situation there, but no, like I said, we are missing some important players that will help us on a run because we need more than just our starter, right? So we still have some depth issues there. So
Mr. Football's new here to the podcast, but I think if you find for yourself who you want to be the Arsenal goalkeeper, but we will chat about it. But only one person gets to pick the team, and that's what we have to come to terms with. Poor distribution from Ramsdale. The jitteriness, we all felt bad for him. We wanted him to be calm and composed. I think he had a very, very good second half as well. Russ really missed Stan last night. Tom and I had a moment.
Yeah, the boys were watching pay-per-view. It was Survivor Series, and I had a meal thing planned, so I couldn't jump in. So I watched a little bit before I left, and then I came back and watched the end, which was quite an ending. So there you go.
Check it out then, people. Mr. Football says Arteta thinks Raya is better than Ramsdale. Case closed. That's it. I've come to terms with not always liking what Mikel Arteta does, but by and large, he's taken us from a team. Let's remember the dark days, right? This is before Arteta and maybe before Emery even, where we could not win away games to save our lives. We got something like 7 draws in 23 games away from home. We lost 16 of those. We couldn't beat Chelsea. We couldn't beat Man United. We couldn't beat any of the teams away from home. Ramsdale will be gone this summer. Don't worry about it. And Unai Emery brought us so far, and then Mikel Arteta's taken us further forward again that we didn't dream about. We couldn't even dream about this a few years ago. Being in a title race with Man City, probably a season too fast last year. And yeah, you can throw the phase 4 or phase 5 at us, and some of the things Arteta says doesn't really wash with the media or even some of the Arsenal fans, but we can see the progress that we were on right now. We brought a player like Declan Rice, and we need him to stay durable for the rest of the season, because without Declan Rice, our midfield looks a little bit dodgy. I will say
And we
that.
should be.
Right, you know what?
Sorry.
So go ahead.
I was going to say that kind of philosophy is the same philosophy now that we should be adapting or adopting for all positions. What I mean by that is that, you know, buying Declan Rice for me, it's like we were allowed to go and spend money and shop in Harrods. You know, go on then. You're allowed into Harrods. Go and get the best thing that you want. And we've, you know, now that I've shopped in Harrods, I don't want to go back to British Home Stores and Marks and Spencers, which are good stores. They're good stores, but we're now shopping in Harrods. And once you have that taste and you're buying items, those high-end items from a Harrods, why would you want to go back to anything else? So, you know, when we talk about bringing in another forward, and I know that Tony Turner, Ivan Toney, I was going to say, imagine Tony Turner, imagine we signed Tony Turner in the fucking January window, Jesus.
You kill us.
The guy's got one leg, what's going on? But, you know, Ivan Toney, which seems to be really popular, for me, he's not Harrods. He's not. He, as good as he is and capable as he is,
20 league goals in a season.
He's not Harrods for me.
Come on.
He's not a Harrods. Do you know what I'm getting at? For me, it's somebody like a Vlahovic or an Osimhen.
Yeah.
They're in that. I'm not saying they're the right fit for the way that we play, but they're in that store that I want to be shopping in the next time we buy players.
Yeah,
we should continue to maintain that level now that we're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
According to Twitter now, we are in the market for an Osimhen, and he's going to make it his choice between Chelsea and us, and then we'll see how it goes. But as you said, if you can go out there and get a Rice, and you know you want to get a striker, why don't you just go out there and try and get the best one available? Osimhen would be that player, right? Because Vlahovic would still be similar levels to Tony. You know, it's not at the top. It's not one of the best, you know, defensive mids and midfielders that you can pick up at the time. We did that with Rice, right? And we're seeing the results of it. Osimhen would do the same thing, and he would rotate the team a little bit, because once he starts, that means Jesus isn't starting in that position, right? And then you're never going to start Jesus over him. So then Jesus will have to figure out where he's going to go next if we keep him.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Here's the thing, if Osimhen is what Arsenal wants, and so that would just mean that in January we're not bringing in a striker.
But maybe if you're bringing somebody like an Osimhen, you know, there'll be games maybe in Champions League group games and other games where Mikel Arteta may feel safer in some games taking out an Osimhen, giving him breathers and knowing he can put in a Gabriel Jesus. Whereas now you look at him and you think, oh, Gabriel Jesus is injured, and he's and ahhing now whether he wants to go to Eddie or Trossard. He's not automatically going to Eddie now. He's kind of veering away from that and looking at something else. So I still think there'd be a place for Gabriel Jesus in our squad, and he could even give Saka some rest
on the right.
Well,
on the right wing.
Exactly. A home for Jesus, but
no, I don't. I don't think he'll get ostracized. I just think he will just not be our starting 9.
And he might.
That's all.
He's actually better. He's actually better on the wings, be it left or right. He seems to be better on the wings. Physical. I think he struggled yesterday physically. Gabriel Jesus did up against Pinnock and the Brentford.
I think I wanted him to start because I thought if he's going to play for Brazil 3 days ago or whatever, he better play for us, because like usually the whole thing is if he's healthy he plays. It doesn't matter. He doesn't need the rest. So if we're going to get him back to that same, if we have to get him back to that same form in terms of when he's available all the time, then he should just be available all the time. You know,
let's see.
If he's going to play in that game, I don't think the Brentford game was as tough as that game was. The way they were playing and throwing and putting tackles in and all that kind of stuff, and that kind of atmosphere and all of that. So I just don't think he has the stamina to go as much, and thus I expected him to come out the game early.
Yeah.
But we want to get him back, and we need him on the pitch for that.
Sam said Raya is crap with the ball at his feet too, but better with long passing. Raya is often out of position for crosses. I don't feel more confident with him in goal, and that's we're looking at very, very small, minute things, and I think that's what Mikel Arteta is looking as well. Stephen's asking me, what have I seen that tells you that Raya is any better? His stats are misleading because he didn't play 2 years on relegated teams. In the 4 games Raya was under pressure, he was appalling. Look, it hasn't been great. He's been caught out in a couple of vital situations at Chelsea and at Newcastle. But Ramsdale looked a lot more jittery to me yesterday, and I'm willing to give David Raya more games to see the difference in the 2 keepers' games, if that makes sense.
I
I
thought
think
that
it's a very
deal was
small.
already kind of sealed and signed.
I just think
Basically,
it's a small sample size for Raya, and I think things will settle down. Imagine this: if we're playing bad right now and we have more gears to go through, and we're top of the league, that sort of augurs well for the rest of the season, in my opinion. Moss said Trossard, Martinelli were good. I thought Saliba was different gravy. Dominant as always, probably the best center back in the Premier League right now. I'm just going to throw that out there, and people will say, "Well, he doesn't start for France." Well, France are probably one of the best teams in the world. Tomiyasu did a good job also. Move Ramsdale in summer prediction.
Nobody mentions it, but I did hear people give some props to Gabriel. I think we always
Gabriel was good,
but then Margalez and that back line as well is one of the reasons why we look so good there as well. I think the 2 of them complement each other. Yes, Saliba stands out, but I believe that the 2 of them are pretty good together out back there.
Yeah.
So
Gabriel was good yesterday.
Gabriel Megalegs, because he's been away on international duty now and had 2 games under his belt, and it seems to me that the Brazilian fans seem to have a bit of a problem with Megalegs. They're referring to him as a bit of a bonehead, that he's a bit rash, and we've seen a little bit of that before. And I'm just wondering that maybe because he doesn't have that calming force next to him for Brazil in a William Saliba, he may look a little bit different in an international shirt than when he plays for Arsenal, because he's got such a good pairing and they complement each other so well. But it's interesting, I felt that on the international side, fans are giving him a bit of stick. They're not really convinced of him.
I watched the Brazil game, and I don't think he looked bad. Playing without Saliba is definitely a drop-off no matter who it is. And the goal that was scored, he was in the vicinity when it was scored, but that's because he was having to come out of position to try to make a play in a ball that was a player that was left open to make the header that scored the goal for Argentina. So it looks like it's his man, but if you follow the play and you kind of rewind back, you'll see that it was somebody else's. That was their player, and they kind of let him go. So then he comes in there like he's supposed to, but he gets there late. And the header is scored, and he's right there. So that's what you get sometimes. And I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, Gabriel, poor, he comes in late." He comes in late because he's trying to do what he's supposed to, which is to cover for a mistake that happened in front of him, essentially. So, and I think that's what you see sometimes. If Saliba makes a mistake and then Gabriel comes in and gets a red because he comes in a little harsh because he's trying to make a play, people can complain about Martinelli, but not about maybe the play around him that caused that situation. And that's kind of what I saw. I think he played all right, but once again, you're saying take away Saliba and then play with somebody else who's not Saliba.
Sure,
it's not the same.
Yeah,
it's not the same.
It's like the Arsenal setup. If Saliba gets injured this season, we have Ben White. It's going to look a little bit different. I think we Arteta wanted to change things up, and he took Martinelli off and brought Kai Havertz on, and he got the goal because it looks what Kai Havertz can give us is different to what Martinelli can give us. I actually was looking at Nketiah coming on and thinking, okay, go on, Nketiah. You're coming on for Gabriel Jesus. Now's the time to make your mark. And I was wrong about the substitute that was going to make the difference at the end. We're talking about some conversation about goalkeepers, as Gary mentioned. Alisson for Liverpool made mistakes. Pope up at Newcastle wasn't brilliant either. So goalkeepers are going to make mistakes as well. The Ramsdale ones were pretty high profile though, and if we do sell him, we have to start getting some kind of a record fee for outgoings, higher than it will be, I would say. You know what I mean? To Everton. He won't start for England in the Euros. That's what really
If
what we're dealing.
Maguire can continue to start for
Yeah.
England, it doesn't matter where
We're
you go or
dealing
what
with
you do.
Southgate here. Try to get in the head of Southgate. Stephen said, forget about Nketiah's contribution up front. Arsenal are lightweight compared to who we compete against at the top of the league. I think there's a difference here. Haaland is the main man at City. He's going to command most of the goals. I still have my reservations about Doku, if he's going to score more than 10 goals this season.
He looks better than like
Grealish.
a lot of second or third options, whatever you want to call it. He looks pretty good in the short amount of time that we've seen him play.
My point,
right?
though, is that I don't think that we're going to get more. City are not going to get more than 10 goals from another player. They're
They
going to
don't
rely
need to,
on.
right? So then,
Well, yeah.
it's not a good comparison. At
Well,
Arsenal,
I'm just
if you
saying
come
that
in here,
we're set up differently. We're set up differently, Gary. We're going to get goals from all over the pitch.
you put him on our team, he might be getting that 15, 20 goal contributions. You know what I mean? And then
Haaland at Arsenal, forget about it. It'll be
no,
over,
but you bring in an Osman, you're gonna expect it, like we always said, you bring in a big time striker, Saka and Martinelli and Erdegaard probably aren't gonna have to score as many goals, right? If you're getting 20, 30, 40 goal contributions out of your striker, because that's the quality that he is, the goals, that's half the goals gone right there that you might want to, it's a large percentage. And we're okay with that, right? We're okay with that because, when he's not playing, those guys are going to have lots of fun, right? So
I think somebody said it, whether it was last Sunday's podcast or not. We know the areas Arsenal need to improve in. It's probably left back, left 8, and striking position. Those are the 3 most immediate positions we need to improve in. Stan, I've just WhatsApped you my big up.
I've got that. Cheers, Adam.
All right. We waste so many chances. That is why it feels like we lack goals. This is a thing, because based on 13 games last season, we're about 3 goals behind in terms of goal scoring. That's not bad, but it feels like we're so much
because we
worse.
should be better. I've gone over this multiple times. Every season we come in, based on where we were with, for example, we would look at the numbers for Martinelli and Saka and go, you know what? Like think about 2-3 years ago, right? They were just about cracking double figures in goal contributions. We're like, they need to crack that. And then this past season, we're like, they need to kind of crack that 15 goal contributions mark, and they did that. Now we expect a similar kind of contribution increase as well. So they should be getting closer to 20 goal contributions if they're trending in the right way. And we're going to be lucky to get to the 15 right now. I think Saka is leading us in goal contributions this year, and for me, I think he still has a way. He's got more he's got more to give us. I think, that's why you look at the Erdegaard last season with the 15 goals, and I'm like, he could have easily had 20. You know what I mean? So I think we're wasteful. One because we don't even take the damn shot, and sometimes when we do, we just are not clinical enough. So, yeah.
Is this a consequence of using? Is this a consequence of using more of our squad players now, giving them more minutes, that Saka, Martinelli, and Erdegaard are not seeing as many goals and assists as last season?
I think we're wasteful no matter how many. Right now, it's wasteful. We're just wasteful, period. We are winning. I told you we're a 3-goal team easily. Easily, we're a 3-goal team.
Every game, yeah.
Every game. We have enough quality to do that. Coming off the bench now, if Havertz comes off the bench, goes up top, Reece Nelson gives us a little bit of energy, right?
Yeah.
We've seen it, right? We've seen it this season, but our starters just need to be more clinical than not because our backups should be coming on when we're like 2-3 goals into a game, right? Now they're coming in like now Arteta's like I can't bring them on because it's a 1 goal lead here, or it's 0-0, or you know anything that's like really. He doesn't want to change his players, which is like that's when you change them is when you need to make a difference in the way the game is being played. That's why you bring in that's why you bring in your trusted players. That's the problem. Are they trusted?
I think we are getting to that point this season where we will say those players are trusted, like a Kiwi or can come up, can come in and play for Saliba. We're trying to do this 4 front thing. Now it's down to 3 fronts. Partey is bigger loss than Xhaka from last season. Aston Villa were very good. I think, Stan, what we're trying to do here is be more possession based. I mean, this is a thing from Pep, Arteta under Pep. Keep the ball for longer periods. You minimize the amount of chances against you.
Yeah, but it's all about putting the goal in the back of the net. The ball in the back of the net. That's how you win games. And we are just so wasteful in front of goal. It's like when people were arguing amongst themselves about what is Kai's best position. Is it this position? Is it that position? It doesn't really matter what his position is because invariably he's still finding himself in the penalty box. And invariably he's missing chances. His goal yesterday notwithstanding, but up until that point, he's scuffing shots. He's putting them wide. And it's the same with Gabriel Jesus as well, who is a player that I really like. He's got everything else about his game. Gabriel Jesus. He comes from deep and helps out, and yet he still manages to have the legs to and the timing to be in the box when something's happening. But he's just so wasteful. You could make a highlight reel of all of his missed shots, and it would be quite long. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of them,
Yeah.
and it's too many. And we need to fix that part of that part of our team. If we can get a player that can do everything that Gabriel Jesus is doing, but also can finish and have more efficiency and take their percentages in front of goal, we'll be away. We really will.
Yeah, and I think Martinelli, Saka, and Odegaard will start scoring more goals in the.
There's a reason that Pep sold him and allowed him to go. If he was putting the ball in the back of the net more frequently, he'd still be at City.
Yeah, and
they
Pep
wouldn't have brought in an Alvarez.
They brought in Haaland as well in the same summer to push
still
them.
bring in Haaland.
If he was scoring 20+ goal contributions in the Premier League, there is no doubt he'd still be there, regardless of Haaland coming in. That's just like an added bonus, right? Yeah. Now we're really going to punish you.
They probably wouldn't have brought in Alvarez. They wouldn't have needed to because they've got Jesus.
Vlahovic just scored against Inter, 1-0 Juve. So I don't know if Vlahovic would come to Arsenal. I don't know if we would want him. Now, you know what I mean? A lot of 1-1, Lautaro.
You can't look at why would you say that?
Yeah.
Because if he didn't, if he didn't want to come to us in the first place, do you want him now? Do you know what I mean?
You got agents play their part, don't they? Mm-hmm. Agents can help to engineer where a player ends up. And if the player, if that's his team, if that's the team that Vlahovic had posters of on his bedroom wall, and he's got an opportunity to go there, then why would he come to Arsenal? He's had an opportunity to go to that team because I know that he was really liked Juve.
Yeah.
Is he feeling that it's a place where he sees that he's got a future? Maybe he's thinking, okay, this isn't really what I thought it was going to be. Plus, Juve are looking, I think, to sell because of their financial situation.
Russ said we weren't challenging the last time we were in for Vlahovic, but it was a project where you could see we were getting better, and Vlahovic could have joined us at that point in time. We have no consistency in our starting formation. Every game is a different team, and I think this season is about grinding it out. Like we want to have some petrol in the tank, so when we get to March, April, and May, we can push this thing home and be there and not fall away in the second last weekend of the season. Here's an interesting
Our
one.
constants right now, we have 2 players in every line that's constant right now. Right, we know Martinelli and Saka always play. I think the Erdegaard thing,
Declan Rice,
the
Odegaard.
Erdegaard's a blip that he usually is available for us, and then you got the 2 center backs, right?
Yeah.
And then our goalkeeper now if it's Rhea, it's Rhea. We're
Good
constant.
old-fashioned
We're
spine.
good there, but we got some spots that, as we said, come and go. And striker, which is an important piece for us, come and go. The left 8 now, come and go. Our fullbacks, we can't keep them healthy for what, 3 games in a row? It seems we can't get a steady of 3 games in a row for them to play because they're always, we can't get them to play. So it's like, and I think it's fine. That's why you have a squad, but we've got the core players are there most of the time. We say if Rice is out, I think it's a serious drop off, right?
Yes.
Right? If Saka or Martinelli are out, I think it's
I mean,
a drop off.
You're looking at a Jorginho and whoever's that left 8 position and Erdegaard if Rice is out.
You just said it right there. You said whoever is at the left 8 position because you couldn't pull a name out. And to answer Don Ryan's question there, yeah, there is a small part of it that we missed Xhaka in what he was doing for us. But I think the bigger problem is that Xhaka he's been let go and he hasn't been upgraded sufficiently, adequately.
Yep.
Because as Ray just said, you got that left 8 because there's a hole there. There's no one owns it. No one owns that position. So there's no name. It's this spare hole that we just sort of rotate players in and out of, but there's no one seems to have cemented down a position there.
Yeah, I thought we took one of our most available and reliable players and didn't fill him with at least a player of equal quality, much less availability, right?
Exactly.
And that's he was always there every game, right? Every game we knew he was going to be there, even if you hated him. He was always there, and Arteta could lean on him, and that's why I'm like, I understand the family dynamic probably, and that's why he's not here. But the answer to that has to be exactly the same, if not better. It actually has to be better quality wise, but it needs to be an easy answer, right? The answer is we don't have Xhaka. Who is the answer for that? And we go ta-da, and that player comes out, and we go, yes, that's the one. From day one, I said it from day one. The only way Havertz is going to work if he comes out and he showcases his skills as soon as he touches the pitch. Yeah. Because that's what we needed, because we were letting go a big piece of the big cog in the engine last season. And it needed to look like we had an answer immediately. Rice, we saw him, we went, yep, that's the one. Timber, yep, that's it. Havertz, I don't know if we got the right player. Is he in the right position?
I think that was the plan as well. I think it's obvious that Havertz, when he was bought, I think if you could get inside Mikel Arteta's head, that must have been the plan, that he was going to slot into the engine room, as Gary so
he was watching the YouTube reels from Germany. He was watching the German YouTube from Bayer Leverkusen when Havertz was tearing it up in Germany, but Champions League winning goal notwithstanding, he hasn't had a great time in England.
Can I just say
that? You know what? That is a weight on his shoulder. We ain't getting that player, and that's and as far as I'm concerned, that was a one-time thing, because nobody can tell me anything else he did in that season.
It was a one-off.
I only go with that one, and I know that's a big one. Yeah. But I mean, he didn't do it. Is that it?
We're
waiting, Gary. We're waiting.
What I'm looking for now from Kai Havertz, for me, it's all about what he does next. A little bit like Eddie when he scored the hat trick quite recently. You're like, okay, good. Here's your flowers. Here's the round of applause. But now let's see how you follow that up. And Eddie did not follow that up.
You get a headlock trip from the center of the pitch to the traveling Arsenal fans. You get a Mikel Arteta headlock.
That's to tell you that it's not working. It's not working.
I want to see him play his next game and follow up on what he just did, either by scoring a goal or creating something, or it doesn't even have to be a goal or an assist, but he has to follow it up with a good performance. Otherwise, it's going to be, oh, okay, well then was that just another blip? We scored a header, and now, how long is it going to be? How many games gap will it be until he does something else? And we think, oh, is this the catalyst? Is this the spark? It's how you follow it up. So it's all down to him.
Exactly. Really, I didn't think Trossard was bad at 8. A little bit lightweight for the midfield, but I think he did okay, and he was involved in the goal was chalked off offside. And you take the line from the ball. You have to be behind the ball in that situation. If people are questioning the offside,
I kind of feel like they put him in the 8, but I feel like the more we play, the more he'll move a little bit further up the pitch and maybe even centralize and stuff. Because we saw a lot of movement. We saw players everywhere. We saw a lot of times Martinelli in the middle, and we saw Jesus out wide, and all of that. We just was switching around all throughout that entire game, and I kind of feel like the more we play with a Trossard, for me, anyways, I think there'll be more fluidity, and things will just switch around.
I love
the
team. The way he plays with Saka, particularly, and Odegaard. You've got a football intelligence pod in that area of the field where with Trossard, Odegaard, and Saka, and probably Odegaard and Saka were the ones who engineered the cross for Havertz to win that game for us as well. Listen, I've thought about this Granit Xhaka question. I think it's 13 games into the season. It's probably a little bit early. 13 league games. I know we played other games, right? Is it too early to say we're missing Xhaka? Are we trying to find the new
we're
way?
missing Xhaka. No, we're missing him.
Okay, we
it might change at the end of the season, but right now letting him go and not replacing him was a big deal. It needed to be a hit, right?
Adequately. Well, you tried to replace and get the same or more out of it, but adequately.
But there were things that Havertz was bringing to the table, which were the things we wanted more from Xhaka. But the leadership, the hard nose playing in the middle of the pitch, that wasn't Havertz's game. So somebody else had to do that. All right.
Right.
For me, that would have been a healthy, like Partey probably, and then you have Rice in the middle there. Now you've got a pretty strong midfield, right? But we keep saying Partey doesn't bring it because he's not available. But we knew that going in. We knew he wasn't going to be available. But you got rid of Xhaka, and all the things that he brings, we didn't replace it at all. What is that?
Yeah.
You're just showing up something? What were you doing there?
I needed to look over the laptop to see what my cat was doing.
Oh, so, there you go.
I was like, dude, it's not that kind of show.
I will. Dominic Richards just said Lee Gunner is toxic, and then a couple other things after that. Listen, if you don't like what somebody says, I don't like what he says, so I don't watch it. But my feed shows things that I see, and I always go back to the beginning of last season when Tony was getting to me about the Crystal Palace game, but we didn't put in a good performance. And then I realized, Tony, that's your opinion and I have my opinion, and I'm able to say that's your opinion and I have my opinion, and understand that. You know what I mean? That's all I'm sort of saying with Lee Gunner is like, he's got his opinion. You either respect it or you have a differing opinion on it, and move on with your life. You know what I mean? If he's toxic, don't let him be toxic in your life. Stan, Gary, anything to add?
No, you said it right. If you don't like what he has to say, then you don't have to listen. It's very easy. You block him if you want, or you just don't. You don't subscribe to him.
Yeah,
there's more than enough YouTubers out there that you can listen to that are going to either going to be similar to your thoughts, or will give you basically a little bit more truth. As they say, keeping it real, and talk about that, right? And it's just about the football. It's not about what I really feel, and I'm going to skew everything to that the way I feel, right? So
yeah,
I don't know what Riddy's talking about. When did I panic?
For me, it's not so much about when I listen to podcasts. Of course, it's about the message that you're listening to, but for me, also, it's about who's delivering the message. Therefore, there are some podcasts that I just don't watch because I don't like who's delivering the message. So I just don't go to that content.
Yeah, listen, we all listen and watch stuff as well independently, and we all have different preferences here. Myself, Stan, and Gary, and that's fine. You know what I mean? You find what works for you. That's what I always say out there. You know what I mean? The scenes at full time yesterday, Mikel dragging Kai Havertz to the traveling fans was class. Yeah,
Here's
and
the
that's
thing.
your opinion.
I
Cringe or
Did you
class?
have to drag a player who just scores the winning goal to the fans after you're on the road, right? We're on the road, right? I
Yes,
mean,
Or was
on the
it?
road.
it just sounds weird. Like, have we not been playing away games beforehand? Have we not won games
Where was
beforehand?
that energy for Pepe? Where was that energy for Nicola Pepe?
Was
You
it?
know,
Was it about Mikel Arteta taking Havertz to the crowd, or was it more about Mikel Arteta justifying his spending to the fans, as if to say, like, see, I told you,
a
I
little
know
bit of
what
each.
I'm doing.
A little bit of
You
each, I think. You know what I mean?
know what I mean? Yeah, because if you spend that sort of money on a player and it hasn't been working, there's got to be some kind of relief when you start to see that maybe maybe I've
Paying
got it
off.
right then. Yeah, maybe it's
It's a lot of money.
going to work. It's a lot of, it's going to have some relief, right? I know I
It's a
would.
lot of money, definitely. Don Juan, welcome to the show. I know you've been here for a bit now. For the first time supporting Arsenal, I'm questioning Arteta's challenge ID over Havertz. I can give you more than 10 reasons not to buy that player. But why do you question Havertz? But then you're not going to get all of them right. We got Rice, we got Timber, David Raya. It's 50-50 there, right? Between the fan base.
I think we paid
Okay.
for We paid for Havertz before Rice. Yeah.
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 Our most expensive player under Arteta at that point in time was Havertz,
Yes.
and nothing says this is worth 65 mil. We spent what 45, 50 on Partey, and everything we saw about him and everything that we could read about him and see on him was like, yep, he's probably worth 50. Easy. That's
Yeah.
actually a deal, right? For what we want and what we're missing. Nothing about Havertz says this is the answer to what. And he said 10. There's probably like 100 questions. Which one is the answer based on
And
what he brings to the table, based on what he did the last 3 years?
and the way that he went about buying him, he was straight in there. He didn't wait till the end of the window.
No haggling.
Everything else was put on hold. Everything else had to wait. It was Kai Havertz. There was hardly any quibbling about the money or negotiation. It was like, how much do you want? Yeah, there you go. Cheers, we've got him. It kind of felt like he was really all out for him. And for what?
Mm-hmm.
And, if I could ask Mikel Arteta one question, just the one question, do you know what it would be? I'd like to sit down with him and ask him, when you made the decision to go and get Kai Havertz, tell me exactly what was in your mind and what you were thinking. What was your plan for him? Where did you see him fitting into the team and what he would be doing? And I'd love to know what he honestly thought and what he felt.
My understanding of also there was a timetable that we needed to, we if they didn't sell him after a certain amount of time, that that they would be in some trouble with their finances or whatever. And
Chelsea.
if we had waited until it got closer to that date, we may have got him for whatever price we wanted, as opposed to what they wanted, which is they got exactly the amount. Which I'm like, nobody's going after Havertz. And supposedly Mount was the other item on like they had a list and they Mount and they had Havertz on that list. How do you what? Like, if you have an opportunity to strong arm someone in a negotiation, you take it. We wouldn't have missed Havertz if we didn't get him. I have no doubt about it. If we didn't get Havertz, because guess what, the deal fell through, I think nobody would have went, damn it. That was one that got away, right?
Yeah.
Nobody was going to say that because nobody's saying that. So for me, it wasn't
still going to be there tomorrow.
There's no reason to rush, and that number was pretty high. That's a
large number. I think a lot of people would have been going, phew.
That car would still be there tomorrow. You could buy that nice car, you know.
Where were the football gods when we needed them then?
You know what? They're laughing at us. They're like, "I'm not gonna go on." You know.
They were like, "Listen, we saved you from Mudrick, right? You only get one per window that we can help you with."
They're like, "These idiots are doing it again. Should I help them?" Dude, they only get one every year, and they've just used it up. Come on.
Really said Arteta said Havertz is a bit reserved and introverted. Yeah, but like, where was that care for Nicola Pepe, you know, and asset that you had in the club when you took over? And
you know what? It's the Southgate thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a Southgate
Arteta
thing.
didn't sign a Pepe check.
Yeah.
No.
That's the difference.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, but there's some part of him that I back Arteta very much, but some of the things in terms of not liking what was at the club already, in terms of a Pepe.
I tell you, every time he takes a risk at work, it fails. He took a risk on Marquinhos. He took a risk on Nuno. Nuno.
I think every transfer is a risk.
He took a risk on Zombie, right? He took a risk on
Havertz.
On Havertz. Nuno Tavares, right? He took a risk, and it's like he took a risk with Willian. Like every time he takes a risk, I'd rather not take the risk. I'd rather get 3 quality players than always go, I'm going to take a risk on the 4th player, and it always fails. You know what I mean? Because if you look who we brought in. We brought in 3 quality players in Havertz, right? Havertz, I don't think Ray was necessary, but you could have picked any other player outside of Havertz, but we would have been okay. It could have been Madison. It could have been Prowse, right? Any of those players you could have brought in, and we'd probably be like, all right, I can see how they can benefit us, right? Kudos. I mean, all these players that are out there. I mean, like Madison is the one because we saved 20. We spend 20 less and get Madison, and if he's going to be injured like he was, that's fine. We're used to that, right? We're used to injured players coming in because they always get injured. Rice came in injured. Timber comes in injured, right? The player that we were like more likely if he gets injured, it might be a good thing. Havertz, no, the man is ready to go every day, right? And that's why I feel like it might be the same kind of a Xhaka thing. Until we figure out where to play him, we're just gonna have to wait. Wait and see,
Stan has asked, what question would you ask Mikel Arteta if you had the opportunity? Probably I would ask, why did you not go after Madison in the summer? That's the question I would ask. Stan?
If I'm the owner of Arsenal now and Mikel Arteta comes knocking on my door, it's transfer time and he's coming in to ask for some money, I'll be like, after seeing what he's done so far, that if the next time he asks me for 65 million quid, I go, okay, I'd have a checklist ready, a little checklist of tick boxes. First question, I'd be like, is this player low on confidence? No? Good. Do they need some kind of repairing to this player? Is it a player that plays in one position?
Are they broken?
Did you see them playing in a totally different position?
The easy question is, are they trending upwards?
Right.
Timber trending upwards, Rice trending upwards, right?
But if
Trossard trending upwards.
But for example, if I say to him, is this a player that you're going to play in the position, or are you going to try? Oh, you want to change that? No, you need to. If you want a left back, can you please buy a left back? If you want a right winger, buy a right winger. Don't buy a fucking right winger and try and turn him into this, that, and the other. Buy what's already going. If you want to buy that player, make sure they're not low on confidence, that they're happy in their surroundings, and that they can hit the ground running from day one. Why can't we have those as checklists or points that we look for when we spend money on a player? We shouldn't be. And another thing, if he says, "Oh, I want 12 million," what's that for? There's this young kid that I've seen that's a good prospect, and I'd be like, no, I don't give you money for prospects anymore. We've got an academy for prospects. If you want to bring in a young prospect kid, look in the academy and find one. I'm only giving you money for Harrods. Remember that we shop in Harrods now. And that's what
I
I
don't
need
know.
you to come home with.
Now think about, you're just talking about academy players, right? Young players.
Nice to get a Martinelli once
We're
in a while.
seeing teams who are desperate for talent on the pitch, and they're bringing in young talent. Like today, United brought in that Mano player, right? 19-year-old. We
Yeah.
saw in Newcastle they brought in a young player as well, and I'm like, huh?
But we're not good at it, Gary.
They're sort of in a desperate situation.
You just
That's
said
why
it. You said all the names that didn't work out.
Yeah.
Marquinhos, Lokonga,
Yeah.
Tavares. Martinelli's the only one that has worked out.
Yeah.
That's 1 out of 5, 1 out of 6.
Yeah.
So we got lucky. There's still 4 players that we thought, nah, this is no good, and we're trying to get rid of them now.
Our two best attacking players are. We spend very little for Martinelli and Saka.
If Marquinhos was in and around the squad, then we could say, yeah, we're pretty good at this.
Yeah.
But they're not, are they?
Yeah.
To be fair.
Dominic Richardson said, I get your point about having opinions, but Lee is like a petulant child and has an agenda against Arteta and every player. He has done this for many, many years. If you've
got an agenda against himself.
and if you've been spouting on about Arteta not being the one, then your argument's gotten smaller and smaller over the last few seasons, and we're going to go into Arteta in a little bit as well. I lost everything through gambling last season as I was so certain we would win, yet I still backed my team and have no agenda. So big up for you, Dominic. Hopefully we can.
Hopefully you're gambling responsibly and it didn't hurt you that bad.
Well, if you say you lost everything.
Hopefully that's the gambling money that you lost and not like rent,
Yeah. Ferguson looks so good. He's got an injury. I'm an Irishman. So I want Evan Ferguson to be really good for Ireland, but
we're not going to
spend injured a lot.
We're not going to spend $100 million on Ferguson, are we?
Ivan Toney's better than Evan Ferguson right now.
Exactly. So you're not going to spend 100 on Ferguson, right?
Nope. I don't think I would.
If you're going to spend 100 on anyone, it's Osman, and that's even too much. I believe that 150, which I believe is the number, is too much for us.
I don't want to play that looks good. Oh, he looks good, and he looks good. He looks good. I want to play that we go. He is good. We know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they look good. That we know, concrete, definite, and they cost money. They're the ones that cost over 100 million.
Yeah.
Declan Rice was that player
more than 100 million. But if that's where we are shopping now, then it has to. That's the way it is. Because if we don't buy him, one of our what do you call it? Competition, one of them will buy him, and that's not going to help us.
Yeah. This is why I'm like, is there any academy player we can bring into our squad now? Because I'm seeing it all around, and I feel like we have some quality there.
Yeah,
and
we can. I think
not wait. Like we seem to be like we're waiting until they're ready, and it's like no, this is. If they're playing midweek somewhere, you can bring them in and give them 5-10 minutes here and there, get them acclimated to the team, then do it, and then maybe you might see something out of them, and that's where Emery was, right? Emery was desperate for talented players, and he said, you know what, there's a Saka player, let me bring him in because I don't have it. We've got either it's the availability or the talent, right? Either Nelson and Emile Smith-Rowe, they can't stay healthy. Every time we show something good for them, then they're out. Fabio Vieira, we're like, it's just not consistent enough, right? If you bring in any of those category players, they're going to be chomping at the bit to get out there and show what they got. For me, what I saw in the preseason, I'm like, give me some of that. They're doing things nobody's done. We saw Nathan and Wary make a move in preseason. I hadn't seen anybody do that this season for us, right? And that was only 10-15 minutes on the pitch, right? So I don't know. I feel like we're looking at going and purchasing players and improving the players that we bring in, but then we have an academy which I don't think we're tapping in terms of a resource to also bring in and figure out if we have an answer there, right? Because you see it in other squads, they bring in their young players and you see them for 5-10 minutes. You're like, oh, that's good, but we hold them back because we know they're not ready to give us a full 90s.
And if you are a youngster in the academy that's trying to, forge your career at Arsenal, perhaps you've been training with the first team, you've maybe been sat on the bench but not been used as a sub, and then all of a sudden you see Arsenal bring in a young guy from, I don't know, Peru or Uruguay, who's 16 years old, 17 years old. They paid 7-8 million for him. Then you're going to say to yourself, well, they do not rate me then. I play in that position. Why are they bringing this guy in?
Marquinhos was free, but we spent $3 million on him. And he could have brought in any one of our academy players and got the same thing out of him.
Yeah.
He ended up playing for them, right?
Yeah.
He ended up playing
And
for the academy in the U21s or whatever. So hello, you could have got the same usage. It wouldn't cost you any money. They said they do that for research for future prospects and stuff. But what about your academy? We do have numbers there as well.
To your point, Gary, yesterday we had Cedric sitting on the bench, and
what's the point of that?
You're telling me we can't put a academy player in sitting on the bench and gaining the experience? Exactly. There is no point to that. Downstairs on that banner is the goals we scored last season, 88 in 38 games. We're about 1/3 through the season. Divide 88 by 3, you get roughly 29 goals, and we've scored 27 this season. So we're not far off. We're just doing it a little bit differently, and it doesn't look like we're blowing teams away. We won yesterday. We are 1/3 the way through the campaign, and we are 1/3 the way through a target of 90 points. So we are right where we need to be at this point in the season without actually arguably playing really well this season, and we've dropped some points that we know we would like to have back if we played better. So there's lots to be hopeful for going forward.
We're not playing well though, but if we'd played the way that we're playing now last season,
yeah,
we'd all be happy, right? Because we're still right at the top of the league. We've only had the one loss. It looks strong, but last season, the way that we started last season as well. I mean, that was kind of like you set the bar, didn't you? And it kind of feels like that we've not quite reached that bar this season
offensively. Yeah, we're not blowing teams away, and I wonder if that's by design as well, Stan.
Newcastle seem to have a little bit of what we had last season, this season, didn't they?
Yeah, and they're coming up with injuries now because they're in the Champions League as well. Gary, Tony Donwan, man of the match yesterday. Ramsdale.
I think I'm gonna go with. Well, I know Saliba did well. Of course, Kai Havertz coming in and scoring a header, really good. I just feel like it's Rice in this particular game. I think it's Rice. It's probably Rice in most games. He could easily get it in most games, but in this one, I think I think I would like to see that same. I would call it that same front six, essentially, get some games together. I know we're going to probably change, but I would like to see those same 6 players playing up top in front of the back line to see how it works out.
Would you stay with Trossard?
I would, but I know why we probably won't, because I think Arteta probably thinks it risks the answers on the bench.
Yeah.
He probably feels, you know what? If I don't have Trossard on the bench, then I don't have an answer on the bench.
Which is hard on him. Yeah.
So
Declan Rice, 105 million, worth every penny. He saves things off the line. He drives us forward, and I think he was a player who was like pushing us forward in the final minutes. I think I wrote my notes before we scored. Great teams, pull points out of where you don't think you're going to get them, and that's what happened yesterday.
Yeah.
So Declan Rice for me, Stan.
Yeah, I agree with the both of you. There were a couple of people in there yesterday who could be a contender, but for me, when you pay 105 million for someone, it's things like heading that ball off of the line that is where the money goes to. Because without Declan Rice being able to get back there and getting that ball off the line, that ball goes in, and it's a completely different game. Who knows?
He's done that now 2 times, right? So
Like that could be the difference of walking away with 3 points or just walking away with one because it's a draw. So yeah, he definitely gets it.
That
He's
goal,
very good.
that goal at Stamford Bridge, the goal against Man United at home in added time as well. So Declan Rice is making a huge contribution in the ledger for us. So
there's a comment there from Don Juan, which I kind of feel like that's the mad genius of Arteta, where he's like, the reason why we're
saving
playing the way we
energy.
are is like, he's saying we're playing within ourselves, kind of conserving energy for the long haul and making it, playing a 38 game season as opposed to a 25 game season. And in the way we're playing, it seems like we could be conserving our energy to some degree, and or conserving the pressure that we put on ourselves by playing the way we did last season, opening ourselves up a little bit, and then maybe pushing ourselves a little bit too much, and then seeing everything kind of like seeing us just burn out at the end.
As Stan said, we went behind too many times last season, and you go a goal behind even in the first minute. It takes a lot of energy to get back into the game. I think we did it early against Fulham this season. We came back in a position where we were leading against Fulham and we got caught. So you can see the goal early, or you can get pulled back to a draw, and things can happen that way. So I think it is a concerted effort, Don Juan, that Arsenal are playing within themselves as well. A few more comments, and then we'll get into our 200 and get out of here in about 10 or 15 minutes. We should buy an 8th or a Partey replacement in January. We can struggle on without another striker until
my preference would be another midfielder.
How about that Douglas Luiz we were looking at last summer?
Makes you wonder, like we still needed Douglas Luiz after not pulling the trigger when we needed him, even though it seemed like we were just pulling the trigger because I think Partey and Elneny were out or something like that during the early part of the season. Yeah. But we're still right back there again, as you guys said, we're not really missing Partey because we never really have a Partey, right? So
yeah, when Bukayo Saka calls him the Ghana man and not Thomas, then he's not been seen too much on the field.
That bloke.
That bloke. The guy.
Rosette.
Five.
Rosette. You know what I'm talking about. Rosette. No, that guy.
Number 5, yeah. Spencer goes back and forth between striker and midfield support. Push Havertz to the 9 and purchase midfield defensive support. Defense will win you this title. I want to, and we'll talk about this probably in the 200 as well. I want to look at this period as a point where we may challenge in Europe, not only challenge, but really go far in Europe, get to a semi-final, get to a final, and have the opportunity of winning that big European trophy. I can't see Villa selling Luiz there in 4th place. Correct. Aston Villa have really pushed on. As Gary said, be careful about the what we say. Be careful what we wish for, but always nice to see Aston Villa beat Tottenham. Luiz looked weak today, only one game, but he looked easy to push off the ball. I am delighted for Unai Emery. He's doing well with Aston Villa.
See, that's the thing right there. I don't want to praise him. You got to beat him twice. What are you be saying then? I don't want to praise him. At the end of the season, we can praise him all you want. Right now, we're in the thick of this thing. I don't want to go in any game thinking, I think he's doing really well.
If they're in 4th place, it would be us versus 4th place, and 4th place is usually a tough game away from home anyway. You know what I mean?
I think there's a big shout that Unai Emery could even be the 3rd best manager in the Premier League.
He's got some big trophies on his list, right? European trophies that
after
is
Mikel
the currency that everybody says you got to have.
No, I think he could be ahead of me. He's ahead of Mikel, surely.
This is what City looked like.
Look what he did with Villarreal against us, right?
Yeah.
It was a head-to-head match. I thought we had a more quality player. We had Aubameyang, and we actually pulled Aubameyang because Arteta thought he wasn't working, and we needed a goal.
I think he was injured at the time.
No, he got pulled. He was pissed. He was pissed when he got pulled.
Okay.
With like 5-10 minutes left in the match, we pulled our striker.
Oh, because he hit uprights and he hit bars and he hit wood everywhere, right? That night. Yeah, I remember.
So you pull your
1 year.
striker who's getting close when all you want is goals to do what? Do you remember who we brought in? I don't remember who we brought in, but it wasn't somebody who's going to put the ball between get
Okay.
even close to hitting a post or a crossbar. You know?
I will agree, Gary talking facts there. Yep. Definitely. No, you're right. Don Juan has a point. This is what City looked like last season before they blossomed in March, and we sometimes there are some fans we're too close to it. We don't see it. Other fans. A Liverpool fan I talked to last week, he didn't understand what Declan Rice was doing for Arsenal. I was like, you watch.
Really?
He's gonna go watch. He's gonna go watch them in Anfield when we played him on the 23rd. It was like, watch Declan Rice on the 23rd of December. You'll understand
Yeah.
what a player he is. You know what I mean?
You should insist on bringing him back on after that game so he can apologise.
I will. I said we'll do another podcast, Spider or Kevin. But definitely, yeah. All right. Stan. Who wants to go first? Gary or Stan?
About what?
Mikel Arteta's 200 game in charge.
I'll go very quickly. He's improving. I'm happy with him as our manager. He's a complicated person to understand because sometimes what he says isn't what he means. I'm beginning to understand that now. Like, you can't take everything that he says at face value, Mikel Arteta. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but last season was a hell of a ride, and we're not doing too bad this season. It's not like we're in 5th place, looking up and thinking, what happened to last season? We're still in it. So, I want to see where we go. I want to see what happens in January. But there is still, our starting 11 still needs a little bit of surgery. And I think you said all of the positions. I feel, left back needs something. Left eight needs something.
Yeah.
And we need something a bit different and a little bit more prolific through the middle.
Yeah.
I don't want his head on a plate or his head on a pike and to run him out of town. I think for where we are at the moment, I think he's still the best person for the job that he's doing.
Stan, he hasn't won a title in the first couple of seasons like Arsene Wenger did or George Graham did, but he has gotten to the most
times, isn't it? It's different times. The money that's being spent, the kind of players, the wages that people are now paying. We're operating in a very different time. The game has transferred so much. I mean, there was gone on days when you was only allowed one substitute. And that as if there was an injury or something like that, right? The game was totally changed. VAR, stopping the game after every goal and hanging around to see whether it's a goal or not. It's changed so much. Inverted wing backs. It's just different thing.
So the record speaks there. Arteta 116 wins in 200 games, and Arsene Wenger got 112, and I think George Graham got something like 108. So he's in some good company there, Gary. The only thing that's missing is the league trophy.
I think I think we're making too much of the numbers. That's what I think. I think we're making too much of the numbers. As you said, those managers, they won something in those first 100 games or first 200 games, right?
Yep.
So I think the numbers are. I think it's not. Yeah, he's got more wins, but he's got not much to show for it because I think he's still learning. I mean, I think he's still learning. There's probably times when you thought, a more seasoned manager would have done something a little bit different in those 200 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of player management and stuff like that. And so things that he would do.
How many more games until he becomes seasoned? When do we say he's not a rookie anymore?
I think if you go back and look at a manager's first 4 years and go, they don't play. They're not playing. Once again, they're not playing in one of the top leagues in the world, right? Against a City team, right? They're not coming in, that. So I think he's doing something that not too many people get to do, right? There's not too many managers starting their careers go, all right, here you go. I'm going to give you the biggest, one of the biggest clubs in the world.
Just take it as a compliment, then, right?
And then I'm also going to ask you you're going to have to rebuild this thing because we know basically everybody you start on day one, more than likely you're not going to need on day 200. You know what I
Are you
mean?
saying?
Like,
Are you saying a bit like a sailor getting his sailor's license, and his first
yeah.
job is to drive the Titanic?
Yes, exactly. So you're gonna hit bumps. You're gonna hit bumps. You're gonna hope you don't crash and sink, right? He
Hmm.
hasn't sunk, but he has
Is
hit
that, is that
some
an iceberg?
icebergs and stuff. So I think we're asking too much of him, and then trying to
City with the
compare him
iceberg.
against all these other managers and saying, well, he's doing better than them, so he must be. No, it's not the same. It's not the same. I think because you did say that the one thing that they brought that he didn't bring it's trophies, right? With his own team, we don't see a trophy just yet. We don't, right? With somebody else's team, he was able to make a run and get a trophy, right? So for me, I think he's well, I don't know what season means, but I think look at the big managers and when did they get their first big trophy? You know, was it in their fourth year or was it in their eighth year? I'm not sure what the number is. Like
Yeah, I think
was
he's like.
when
I
when
think he's
Wenger.
running along the same lines as Jurgen Klopp, but Jurgen Klopp had that experience of being at Mainz before he came to Liverpool.
No, but I'm talking about
Again,
your first 4 years of managing a
yeah,
squad, right?
I don't
So
think many
when
have
so
done
when
it.
so yeah, so when Wenger won
Yeah.
his big trophy, where was he? Was he at Arsenal or was he somewhere else? Right?
Oh,
Was he?
he won things with
No,
Monaco.
his first big trophy. Because we're talking about a Premier League and we're talking about a Champions League, right? Right. I
That would
believe that's what
be
we're talking. We're talking about like Syria. We're talking about
if
Bundesliga.
anyone.
We're
I
talking
can
about La
Google that.
Liga.
Let me check
No, but
into that.
what I'm just saying, I kind of felt like those managers that, especially the ones that he's been out managed by, they all have probably at least 8 to 10 years of experience,
Yeah,
and it makes a difference in the way that their teams play. You know, he isn't there yet. So like Zerbi comes in there and smashes us last season,
but
right?
isn't that a huge
And
compliment that you're giving Arteta as well?
I know, what I'm saying, but you're trying to compare him with Wenger and George Graham. And I'm saying it's not the same. The numbers,
Well, it's
the
not, I
number,
didn't do
the,
it.
nu-
I
the
didn't put
numbers
out
are
the
the
stat.
numbers kind of a
Somebody
false
else.
positive in
Yeah,
terms of where he is. I'm not comparing. I don't want to. We're not comparing him to Wenger when he came in after whatever 10, 15 years of experience, kind of thing. You
yeah.
know, the league was probably a little bit closer in terms of there wasn't a city who was running away with the league every year, right? We're talking
Yeah.
about times when 80 points was a lot to get it in a season, and now we're saying you need to get 90, right?
Yeah.
You get 90, you have a good chance, and even then you don't have a good chance, right? So I think what he's doing. Yes, I'm praising him for what he's doing, but we can't compare him with some of the greats that came before him just yet. And that's why it's going to take time. I think we keep saying it's going to take time. It, somebody said it's going to take 5 to 10 years, and and I think that's not even they weren't even thinking about well Arteta, new manager, he's gonna be learning every day. He's learning something new, right? I think that's where a lot of people are like, I don't want Arteta because I want somebody who's done it before. I want somebody experienced. I want that kind of manager bounce that you get when you bring in sort of like the next Wenger, the next Graham, the next whatever Klopp, whatever it is, right? Like if we brought in Klopp,
The
when
next
people
Rio.
said we could have brought in Klopp, right? Where would we be right now, right? I
True.
think we
True.
the way we've been
Would
spending
be.
money, I think we would have been maybe ahead of we would have won that Champions League, that league, right? You know, he would have probably
Um,
saw a Saka and brought him in the same time as an Emery did, right?
Arsene Wenger won the French league in 87, 88. He's won a French Cup as well.
How many years
Um,
of experience did he have when he won the French league?
you're throwing so many questions at me now.
That's the only one. That's the one that matters though, because that's the one I'm talking about. Was
Right,
it
let's
four
say
years? Was it 4 years of experience he had?
87, 88. I'm gonna find out now how many years. When did he
Yeah.
start?
Is the
Um,
Emperor? I see the Emperor's Cup. Is that like a big? Is that a big trophy? Do we go? That's a good CV entry and line item. I'm not sure. Mm. So yeah.
mm,
So like I said, I think he's doing a good job. They want and I said, and this is what I said when he first came. They want us to wait, but I don't want to wait. I don't want him to. I don't want to wait for him to hit that level. But they want us to wait. You know what I mean? They want us to wait until he gets to the level of some of these managers that we talk
looks
about
like
all the time.
1984, Gary. He started with Nancy
So
in
3 years.
France.
So it's 3 years and winning an Emperor's Cup in.
He won the
Wait,
he won the French league. He won the French league after
after
3
three
years.
years, three
Hmm.
years is that big? Is that bigger than winning a
That is
Premier
big
League?
because I think it was with Monaco, and he would have been up against the Marseille team that was really good. And, the
Yeah.
French league
So
was
he's not at a Wenger level then.
no,
Uh-oh.
not quite yet. No.
So that's what I'm saying. So Wenger probably is at a different tier of managing, and after 4 years won a
Yeah,
trophy, right?
yes, and again, the thing that Stan is saying is, and I think you said as well, Gary, different time, different era, different standards of football.
Yeah.
He probably didn't have to contend with a Man City team
Yeah,
either.
City versus whatever team you were talking about, not the
Yeah,
same.
yeah.
not the same at all.
I
Right?
like the Titanic metaphor because Man City are that iceberg that we hit last season. Man City are that big blue iceberg that we hit last season. And listen, it's interesting. A lot of games to go, and hopefully this season we can rectify the mistakes that we made last season. When we get into this situation in the springtime where we're maybe a couple of points ahead of City when we get into March. Maybe we're behind City by a couple of points. I think the experiences that we had last spring will hold us in good stead this next spring. You know what I mean?
We'll find out on December 23rd if we learned anything from the last time we went to Anfield. All right,
Yeah.
that will be that's the retest. Let's take that test again.
All right.
See how we do.
Stan, we're just winding things up, but I'll let you go. It looks I see in the private chat that you're ready to leave, so I'll give you your final parting words, Stan.
Yeah, basically not really that much that I haven't said during my participation of the show. Good to come on a Sunday and have a chat with the both of you. Also, as well, to everybody that came into the chat box, and as always, that comes in with us on Thursdays and Sundays. Also, there was a few new names that I saw this week as well. All welcome. Tell everybody about us, and that's me done. Look forward to seeing you guys on the next discussion. Thank you so much for having me, and
thanks, Dan.
I hope everybody out there has a great week.
Hey, can't be any better. We're top of the league. We had a great weekend with City and Liverpool dropping points. Take care. Thanks, Dan. So yeah, Gary, you're right. There's a couple of things to finish out here. Arsene Wenger won things 3 seasons in. It's actually interesting too that you asked that question. How long was he a manager? It looks like about 3 years when he did that in France.
And
And
is that like his coaching was 3 years?
yes.
Okay.
Well, he was a manager for 3 years, so he probably had some coaching to do. Coaching's a little bit different than managing, right? You do go through. I don't know what they teach you when you're trying to be a coach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we hear about professional footballers going for their coaching badges.
I'm just looking up. You said what year did he win it?
87, 88 with
Okay,
Monaco.
that was his 4th year then. Okay.
Yeah.
Because he had actually he coached elsewhere, and that was his first year at Monaco.
Yep.
Okay.
And I think that was with Thierry Henry, because he had coached with a young Thierry Henry.
So he's coaching one of the best future attackers, and we're going to try to compare that to an Arsenal team who does not have an Henry.
But we got an Eddie. Tom would say.
Okay, so yeah, okay, that's just nonsense what you're just talking about there. But
I know,
but I hear what you're saying. But like all those things you're talking about, is he Wenger? No. Did he have an Henry, a future Henry player sitting in the squad? No. So we don't have those things, so it's going to be difficult to say yes. He should have a big trophy by now.
Yeah. So I think Thierry Henry they won a French league together. Thierry Henry went to Juventus, had a difficult time at Juventus. Arsene Wenger went to Japan, won a couple of things there, including an Emperor Cup. Don Juan told me, and they came back and crossed swords again at Arsenal, and the rest is history between Arsene Wenger and Thierry Henry. George Graham came in, probably begin. He was a manager for a few years, maybe a year before I started knowing about this Arsenal team, and that's a young Arsenal team with Rocky Rocastle, um, you know, Michael Thomas, Lee Dixon, all those players. So
Yeah.
George Graham won up at Anfield, and that was under difficult circumstances. So it's not easy to win at the highest level. Will Arteta do it? Signs look good right now for me, but obviously you have to seal the deal, Gary. And watching sports down through the years and following your teams, they don't always seal the deal. So we'll see what happens, But we had a good chat. Right now, when you finish up here, go over and check out Tom. He's got his Leeds podcast. Gary's probably going to have a show tomorrow evening.
Yep. I will have a show tomorrow. Yep. No,
and
for sure.
So that's your next 48 hours figured out for everybody there. Okay. Any final thoughts, Gary?
No. I'm looking. Well, like I said, looking forward to hopefully sealing the top spot at is it Lens? Sorry.
Yes.
On Wednesday. So
yes,
I saw somebody put in there. I don't know if it was Riddy, said they were thinking 4-0. I would like a nice easy win for sure. Get some players some opportunities to come in and play because we have such a big lead. So
I think we have a 4-point lead.
Yeah, I think we have. If we win, I think if we get a point, we're definitely in. If we win, we win the group. I think if we get 2 points, we win the group. I believe is the way it's set up right now because the only teams that can catch us need to beat us. I think so. I think that's the way it works. I think.
There we go. We're on 9. We got the 3 wins. PSV 5, Lens 5, and we'll cross swords with Lens.
Yeah, and I think we played PSV at home in the last game. But if we win, that game doesn't matter.
PSV away in the last game.
Oh, PSV away. Okay. So I think if we win at this Lens game, which
we'd like to take care of business. We would like to take care of business at home. Yeah. Maybe Ramsdale will get a Champions League game. Maybe the last game.
Yeah. I was looking at the managers that are the current managers and whatnot, and Klopp coached for at least 7-8 years before he went to Borussia Dortmund. So and Pep, he was 2 years and then he was at Barcelona. So like that 4-year thing, pretty good.
It's interesting though. What would be the point where you say you're a seasoned manager? Would be 5-6 years?
For a good manager? How many years of experience do you think they get by the time they retire?
So Pep is on about 16 years right now.
Yeah, 2007 was when he did Barcelona B, but I guess if you want to say top flight, it was 2008. So 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time he got to Bayern Munich, he was already seasoned.
Yeah.
And that was after 4 years?
When you say seasoned, I think salt and pepper.
So but it's like I don't know. You call it experienced, whatever.
I know what you're saying though. Yeah.
But I think we're trying to compare Arteta to some of the greats, and it's not a good comparison because
maybe
you don't get too many of those all the time. Because he might hit some of the numbers they do, but we already know he's not going to hit it in his first 4 years probably. We don't see him winning both a Champions League and a Premier League in his 4th year. I would love it. I'll take it, but we don't see it right now, and it wouldn't be a disappointment if he doesn't. It wouldn't be like you didn't fulfill your potential. So
we've got 3 opportunities to win a trophy, and I really want to win a trophy this season because that's what following a team is all about. Having success and winning things. Listen, we need to get a win against Lens. Not that revenge is a thing in the Champions League, but I'd like to get some payback for what happened to us in France, if we can jump on them. I'd like the Emirates actually to have that atmosphere that the Lens had in France when we faced them. Remember that. People forget Ferguson finished 12, 15 to 8, 12 and 8th again in his first 5 seasons.
Yep.
And he was one game away from probably being sacked in that FA Cup game.
And you know what? And this is after years of experience beforehand, right?
At Aberdeen. Yeah,
Yeah. So he had, and I believe he won trophies there, right?
he did.
So,
He did.
so I think so. Experience does play a part, I think, in this thing. Arteta's trying to do it the most difficult way,
Yeah.
and based on if you look at it that level, he's not done anything to warrant firing him because you know what you're getting. It's like putting in
Wow.
a rookie goalkeeper and then a first year goalkeeper and expecting him to be Edison and Allison. You're not. So you're
Yeah.
gonna have to take the good with the bad. He's gonna give you some good times. He's gonna give you some crazy times.
Yeah.
So
It's interesting. You could argue that Arteta's first 18 months was very rocky. If you look at the bare stats, we have gone from 8th place. And I remember you, Gary, a few years ago asking, if we improve our points but not improve our league position? And that's what happened. How do you analyze that?
yeah, and that's why at that point it was like
2-8
Yeah,
place.
and I said it wasn't. That's not the ground. It's the for me. That's why it's always been about performance. People will say, "Oh, the point total is the same. Why didn't he win anything?" Or he scored more, but why didn't he win anything? Well, because you can't count. The results matter. If you win the right games, right? If you beat those 6 point swings, then you're doing good,
Yeah.
right? If you're
Yeah.
beating the cities and the Liverpools
We-
and the
in
and
some
that
ways,
team and Villa and Newcastle, right? If we come out of basically those teams, we have 10 chances against all of them, right?
yeah,
And if we
yeah,
come out with more points than they do, than anybody else, we have a good chance, right?
yeah,
So far, we got 3 on City, we got 1 on that team, right? We've got 1
yeah.
on Newcastle, right? I mean, we haven't
Well,
lost to any of those top 5
we lost.
just yet.
Well, we lost. Yeah, we lost to
Oh,
Newcastle, but
sorry. Oh, sorry. We lost to Newcastle. Sorry.
United.
So
We beat
so
United.
yeah, yeah. I don't know if I consider them the top 5 right now.
Yeah, it's going to
Yeah.
be interesting who's going to be. Well,
Yeah.
I see Aston Villa and Newcastle as being
Yeah.
4th and 5th.
Yeah. So we did lose to Newcastle, but I kind of felt like we've got one of the biggest wins. Being if you beat City, I don't care what the circumstances are. It's a win because that's gets you 3 points closer to them.
Yeah,
Right.
and that swing is what hurt us last season, and
Yeah.
you need to be consistent against the other
Yeah.
18
The best
teams.
they can do is a wash. All right.
Yep.
Even
Yep.
if they beat us, the best they can do is it's 3-3 and on points. So
And then it
we
comes
should be
down
going in there. We
to
should go in there fighting for that for the win and then
well,
settle for the point.
look at it this way, Gary, and I'll be as critical as you if we don't do it in May. Look at it this way. We've taken Man City out of the equation when it comes to challenging for the league this year, this season. Because like you say, if they beat us, it's a wash.
Yeah.
Then it comes down to what City does against the other 18 teams,
Yeah.
or what Arsenal does against the other 18 teams, or even what Liverpool does against the other 18 teams. And shame on us if we're not good enough then, because we're not competing. Think of it this way: we're not competing with City in the league this season. I mean, points
Well,
wise, we will
last
be.
season we weren't competing with them, but we brought that equation back in when we didn't do what we needed to do going.
Yeah.
And I told you going into that City match, we need to be on a winning streak, right?
Yeah.
So then it doesn't matter what we do against them, and we didn't do that. We may have still lost it based on the way we played against Brighton, but
That's Alec Ferguson.
we would have had a chance.
Yeah. So when you really think about it, while we are competing with City, we're really not, because it's going to come down to consistency against the other 18 teams. City and Liverpool away are the big tests. Yeah, definitely. And
that the December 23rd will be a big game for us because
December 23rd up at Anfield.
If we're able to get something out of that, then that will be a plus, whether it's a point or a win.
I've looked at somebody wanted us to look. We'll do this real quickly and before we go. Somebody wants us to look at our games, our next 5 games, Gary. So we've got Wolves, Luton, Aston Villa, Brighton, and Liverpool.
Oh yes, I did look at that, and I think
Well, Brighton is going to be tough.
I'm thinking
It's
like
a home
13,
game.
13. For me, I want to get like 13 points out of that.
Hmm.
So I don't. We can't be taking a loss in any of those.
No, we got to be
Um,
beating. Let's start
so
with leading the table. We play Wolves next Saturday
yeah,
at home. We got to beat Wolves. We go away to Luton. It's
yep,
got to be a win,
yep.
right?
Hmm.
And then, like you said, be careful. Aston Villa could be that team
Yep.
away from home. Brighton at home, and then Liverpool away. So Aston Villa and Liverpool away will be
I
tough.
don't like saying losses, but I guess I'm gonna have to. When you put it like that, like Aston Villa and Brighton and City
And
all in a row,
Liverpool,
it's gonna be really tough. Like just
yeah.
because they're tough teams to play. So
Aston
13 is
Villa,
what I would like, but
Brighton,
I kind of feel
Liverpool.
like
Yeah,
um, 10, 11 is probably more likely, and it wouldn't be a negative because those are 3 games to play tough in a row. 13 would be what I would like. That would be like the best I think we could get out of that because it will be tough. But if we go out and we win and we beat Lawns, then we can rest our players a bit,
mhm.
in between those games, and because I think I believe there is the PSV game is in there right in between the Aston Villa and Brighton game.
Yeah,
So if we didn't have to put our starters in on that's a Tuesday game,
that's it.
then
Win
I
your
think
game at Lons, right? Win your
yeah.
game at home to Lons makes
Yeah, if you
an
win at
easy.
home to Lons, then I think the PSV game will be a game you can rest the players that need the rest before you
Oh,
play Brighton.
and one thing I have to mention, which maybe nobody really has discovered, there will
Discovered.
be a mid-season break in early January. There will
Yeah, I
be a
saw like the so
2 week break.
New Year's Eve we play Fulham, and then we don't play a game again for almost 3 weeks when we
Yeah,
play Crystal Palace on the 20th of January. So enjoy all your football up to New Year's Eve, and then
get your football in over the festive period,
yeah, and then
and
New Year you basically will be going, where is the football again? So.
New Year will be mid-season reviews and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
They didn't do that last. Did they do that last
No,
time?
they didn't do it last time because we had that World Cup, which compressed things. But you
Mm,
know what? I think it's necessary. We all talk about the amount of games, and we just got through
yep.
another international round, which is the final one before the summer,
Yep.
or maybe there's one in spring again. But anyway, listen, we'll get out of here. Check out Gary tomorrow night on his channel,
Yeah.
and
The trip 7:30 p.m. in the U.S. and on the East Coast, and 12:30 a.m. for you guys in the UK.
we will have an FA Cup game, I think, but Premier League. If to win the league, we really should be beating Villa away. It'll be a tough game. Thanks for being here, Don Juan and Reddy and everyone involved. We're out of here. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of the weekend. Arsenal are
Everybody, thank you.
Arsenal top of the league, but we got 2/3 of the season left to go. Thanks.